championships are the standard in Baton Rouge. Today, he brings the Tigers to Oxford for the 114th meeting all-time against Ole Miss, a rivalry that dates back to 1894, and for the first time in 66 years, both teams entered undefeated. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the All-State Kickoff. I'm Sean McDonough, along with Greg McElroy. Delighted to have you with us. It's been an interesting start, Greg, for these Ole Miss Rebels. 4-0, and they've had 2 games each started by different quarterbacks. Austin Simmons was the starter at the beginning of the year, hurt his ankle against Kentucky. Trinidad Chambliss stepped in. He's been terrific in the last 2, and there was some question all week who would start today. It's going to be Chambliss.
Well, they split the reps 50-50 and evaluated the guys. And I think at this point, with where this offense is going, Trinidad Chambliss's mobility makes them very difficult to defend. Simmons a good runner, but Chambliss is electric when he takes off in the scramble drill or in the run game. But the big key is 0 turnovers. He's been making great decisions. That was something that Simmons did not do in the first 2 starts of the season.
He'll face his stiffest test today, as will the Rebels, going up against an LSU Tiger defense that hasn't given up more than 10 points in a game so far this season. They've really carried the Tigers to this 4-0 start. Garrett Nussmeier, their quarterback, no question he is the starting quarterback, came in as a Heisman front runner. He has struggled a little bit, in part due to injury. The coaches think he's about to take off.
And I think we probably downplayed how significant the ab injury was and how it affected him from an accuracy standpoint, to the point where his mechanics suffered a little bit against Florida, but they feel like this week he's as close to 100% as you could possibly get. So the underneath passing attack's been good. Now it's about taking the next step as an offense and becoming more explosive. And the way they do that is by Garrett Nussmeier dropping back and throwing it deep downfield to an electric wide receiver core.
It is a very pleasant late September afternoon here in Oxford, Mississippi. Bright sunny skies, the temperature in the low 80s with low humidity. Now our national anthem. The Ole Miss Women's Glee Club with our national anthem. Electric atmosphere for LSU and Ole Miss. The kickoff in a moment. You're watching the All-State Kickoff.
Back here in studio, Booger McFarland, Kevin Nagandi here with you. We are minutes away from kickoff in Oxford. Beautiful afternoon on a Saturday as we continue week 5 here on ABC. Ole Miss hosting LSU, and Trinidad Chambliss, a year ago playing at Ferris State, Division II, now getting the chance to knock off a top 5 team here. He's going to get the start here against a fantastic defense. When you watch the Tigers, Book, you got a lot of pride because you play there. What are you seeing?
I see a very aggressive defense led by defensive coordinator Blake Breaker. They want to pressure you, Kev. They want to get after the quarterback. They want to make the opposing team feel pressure. They do it better than anybody in America, I think, with their scheme. They have really good players, 11 quarterback sacks on the season. They stopped the run on the way to the quarterback, and they're doing it at a very high level so far this year.
Pressure percentage is at 41% since Baker took over as the defensive coordinator. What does that mean to you, Boog?
It means that 41% of the time or more, Kev, they're bringing more than 4 people. 4, 5, 6 people. Every now and then they'll bring 7 guys to make the offense feel pressure. That's how you want to affect the opposing quarterback. You want to make him play ahead of schedule, and Blake Baker does that better than most.
Lane Kiffin, a guy you're very familiar with.
Yes.
He's the son of Monty Kiffin, your defensive coordinator with the Buccaneers back in the day. When you look at Lane, you are, as a Tiger, a little nervous here because, again, this offense, no matter who's at quarterback, is effective. Why are you a little nervous going into the game?
I've known Lane Kiffin for 26 years. He is the most aggressive play caller I've ever met. He's probably an offensive genius. When you talk about guys that can put players in position to make plays, I hadn't met anybody like him, Kev. Yeah. He's phenomenal. He studies the game. He used to sit in the back corner of our defensive room in the Bucs and study our defense so he could call plays against the defense. He said, I need to know what the defense is doing first. That's the type of mind that Lane Kiffin has. And I guarantee you, this LSU team hadn't given up more than 10 points to anybody so far this season. Yeah. It's a challenge to him.
Yeah.
It's a challenge, and he's going to take that challenge on. This will be their stiffest test of the day.
5 straight games. Ole Miss has scored 30 straight points. The running attack, though, what is going on at LSU? Caden Durham will not play. Who has to step up?
Well, it's going to have to be number 22, Harlan Berry, Kev. He's a 5-star out of New Orleans. He and Caleb Jackson will probably get the load of the carries. But here's the issue. The offensive line hasn't come off the ball. They haven't knocked people back. That's been the issue so far. You have to move people to run the football.
Lost a handful of guys that went to the NFL. They have to step up for Garrett Nussmeier here on the road. Get ready for kickoff. Let's go to Sean McDonough and Greg McElroy.
All right, Kevin, Booger, welcome back, everybody, to Oxford on this Sunsplash Day. Another get-together between the Rebels and the LSU Tigers. Always a spirited rivalry, particularly exciting in recent years. Last year in Baton Rouge, as we take a look at our All-State Spotlight, Ole Miss took the lead in overtime on a long 57-yard field goal by Caden Davis. But on their first play of the extra session, Garrett Nussmeier to Kyron Lacey, 25 yards. That was the only point in the game that LSU had the lead. There's the all-time numbers. They've met every year since 1945. There have been 3 ties in this rivalry, 4 ties as well in this rivalry. The big story here today, Trinidad Chambliss at quarterback for Ole Miss. Let's go down to the field. Monty McGrath.
Well, Sean, a year ago today, Ole Miss quarterback Trinidad Chambliss was getting ready to lead his D2 Ferris State team to a win in front of just 1,000 fans. Today, he's taking on the number 4 team in the country in front of over 64,000. Chambliss called the last month surreal and a dream come true. And from the 843rd ranked player in the transfer portal to the Rebel starter, coaches all say Chambliss can handle this jump because he has the it factor, where he comes alive in the stadium, and called his ability to scramble and make plays Trinidad magic, Sean.
In college football this season, not yet a quarterback controversy here. Austin Simmons still coming back from that ankle injury, but you have an idea that Lane Kiffin's going to have a tough decision to make in another week or 2.
And I think if Chambliss continues to play the way he's played, it'll be a relatively easy decision. But if Chambliss, for whatever reason, takes a step back, that opens the door. Simmons is still a remarkably gifted young man and very much in the eyes of the coaching staff, the future of the program. But in the present, Chambliss gives him the best chance to be successful.
The home team has won 11 of the last 13 meetings in this rivalry, including LSU's overtime victory in Baton Rouge last year. 2 years ago when they played here, the 2 teams combined for 104 points. 1,343 yards of total offense. That was with Jackson Dart at quarterback for Ole Miss, the Heisman Trophy winner Jaden Daniels for LSU. Lane Kiffin now in his 6th season as head coach of the Ole Miss Rebels. Hard to believe he's 50 years old. Brian Kelly is 63 in his 35th year as a college football head coach. And he brings the Tigers onto the field first. Trying to get to 5-0 for the first time since 2019, where they won the national championship with a great team quarterbacked by Joe Burrow. They had a 16-game winning streak during that stretch. And Lane Kiffin. For the second year in a row. They've had a favorable schedule, just one road game so far. 16-1 here since the start of 2023. The only loss was that shocking defeat at the hands of Kentucky, the Wildcats' only SEC win last year, when the Rebels were a 17.5-point favorite. Here's Molly with Brian Kelly.
Coach, you told us you want your offense to take on an aggressive mindset. What will that look like today?
Make plays. You know, we need some big chunk plays. We got talented receivers and quarterbacks. Get the ball out on the perimeter, get the ball, push it down the field, and then be who we are, right? I mean, we've got to have an established running game like everybody else wants in the country, right? And then play the kind of defense we've been playing.
How do you defend Trinidad Chambliss in the quarterback run?
Well, I mean, obviously, he minimizes what you can do. You've got to be able to have somebody for the quarterback, and that makes it a little bit more difficult. But, you know, we know what to expect. He's obviously a very talented player, but we've got to slow him down somehow.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Thanks.
And Kelly confirmed that running back Caden Durham is out for this game. He's not even going to dress with an ankle injury, but he said he expects him back after their bye week, just in time for the South Carolina game, Sean.
He was injured in the second quarter of their easy win last week against Southeastern Louisiana. Their leading rusher a year ago is a true freshman. Captains at midfield. The referee is Ken Williamson. Ole Miss has won the toss. And the Rebels will receive the opening kickoff. Get their high-flying offense on the field against this outstanding LSU defense that's given up just 9.3 points per game. Since Lane Kiffin became the head coach here, 507 yards per game of offense. That is best in the country. It's better than that so far this year, 543. In wins against Georgia State, at Kentucky, in the last two games here at home against Arkansas and Tulane. And Greg, they were impressive against a good Tulane team last week. Kind of hit on all cylinders on offense with 45-10 win.
They were outstanding on both sides of the ball, and the one thing that came to life last week was the downfield passing attack, and that's something they're going to have to do time and time again against an outstanding LSU secondary. Chunk yardage will be huge for Ole Miss throughout this game.
Back deep for the opening kickoff from Aaron Burrell. Both of these teams have touchback kickers. Burrell 24 touchbacks this year in 24 kickoffs. But if Hartrup can run it back, he's dangerous. He is kicking with a light breeze, and it'll land in the back of the end zone. So here comes Ole Miss on offense, led by Trinidad Chambliss, 23 years old, as Molly said, experienced as a national championship winner last year at Division II Ferris State, near his home in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Last week against Tulane, tremendous. Threw for 307 and 2 touchdowns, rushed for 112. Just the fourth player in program history to pass for 300 and rush for 100. Manning, Kelly, and Ta'amu are the others. Kewan Lacey is the running back. He's a bit of an upgrade over what they had last year. Caden Lee, the slot receiver, went in motion, and it's Lacey averaging 89.5 yards per game, tripped up by Patrick Payton after a pickup of 3.
And Lacey is what kind of makes this offense very different from a year ago. Tremendous speed at running back, opens up the balance that Lane Kiffin wants to create.
Design rollout for Chambliss. Short dump off to Dejon Stribling, who got hit hard along the near sideline. Whit Weeks and A.J. Halsey there for the Tiger defense. They go very quickly to the Rebels. Snap it in less than 23 seconds per play. 8th fastest in the country entering today's action. And job one for Whit Weeks. His brother West getting the Tigers lined up. 3rd down and 5, and a flag down. Some movement along the line of scrimmage.
Ball start. Offense number 75. 5-yard penalty. It remains 3rd down.
Patrick Kudus, the right guard. Both teams, it seems to us, Greg, have concerns along the offensive line. In the case of Ole Miss, it's the guards. At LSU, primarily the tackles.
And those are the 2 areas that they're going to try to attack defensively. Ole Miss against those tackles with edge rush, and then up the middle with Harold Perkins against Kudus, the right guard. That's a matchup that Ole Miss needs to try to neutralize.
Perkins wears number 7. They'll move him around all over the place. Chambliss, and it's broken up. Intended for Daquan Wright, the excellent tight end, broken up by P.J. Woodland, part of a terrific tandem of starting corners, along with Mansour Delane.
And a terrific start for LSU defensively, and Blake Baker, their coordinator. The biggest thing against Ole Miss is getting your cleats in the ground and handling the tempo, but they can't get to tempo if they don't pick up that first down of the drive. So a great start there for the Bayou Bengals.
Xavion Thomas, dangerous return man. Oscar Bird, the 24-year-old from Australia, kicks it away from Thomas and out of bounds near the 30-yard line. We'll see where the officials spot it for the first possession of the day for LSU. Led by the 5th-year senior Garrett Nussmeier. 68.6% helped by a 25 for 31, better than 80% last week against Southeastern Louisiana. He played just 1 series into the second half and sat out the rest.
They feel like this could be his very best game. This defense for Ole Miss has some questions, especially in the secondary. So Nussmeier is going to have to be more aggressive throughout this plan.
I think his throwing mechanics were off because of that core muscle problem. He's getting healthier. He's delivering the ball more like the Nussmeier we saw last year when he threw for more than 4,000 yards in his first year as their starter. Short throw, and a catch made by Bauer Sharp, the tight end, first year here as a transfer from Oklahoma.
Plays like that, that's kind of what this LSU offense has looked like here in the first 4 games. Underneath passing attack, be efficient, move the chains, and take some of the pressure off that offensive line, Sean, that has struggled against elite edge rushers.
I think the replay both may take a look at this. Mitchell Wilkins is the replay official. It was a 50-yard punt by Bird, and if this play stands, it's a 7-yard gain.
There, and yeah, I do think the nose of that football does hit the ground. Does he secure it prior to? Good look at it here.
I think that's an incomplete pass.
I would agree.
And a good stoppage by Mitchell Wilkins in the replay booth.
That's kind of what's been going on with Nussmeier there. I mean, that's a fairly simple throw that naturally last year he's hitting the guy right in the chest or the face mask. The accuracy's just been a little bit off from time to time. Throws that would have been caught last year haven't been caught because he's been just off the mark.
Brian Kelly awaiting the inevitable. Seemed to be pretty clear that it was an incomplete pass. They've thrown the ball more often than any team in the SEC. So it'll be 2nd and 10. Nussmeier, 6'1", 205 pounds, the son of Doug Nussmeier, now the offensive coordinator of the New Orleans Saints. Once an NFL and college quarterback, CFL quarterback himself. Nussmeier making his 19th career start. The Tigers are 14-4 with him at the helm, and winners of 7 in a row. dating back to last year. Xavion Thomas, they move him around all over the place. He got 4. It'll be 3rd down and 6. Cam Franklin the stop.
Getting the run game going is going to be very important for LSU's offensive coordinator Joe Sloan. Finding balance. They have not been great running the football this year, so finding balance, take some of the pressure off the passing game will be big against this porous run defense.
Not great on 3rd down. Just 47%. And as you said, Greg, struggling to rush the ball, 117 yards per game. That's 15th in the SEC. Jawan Johnson is the running back. He goes out into the pass pattern. The throw over the middle is incomplete. Floated through the air where the Rebels were eyeing an interception. It went off the hands of Aaron Anderson.
Well, we talked a little bit already about some of the issues that these tackles might have, and here it's Adams, the left tackle, gets swung right inside as Uman Mielen delivers a big shot on Nussmeier.
Jay Wallace back for the punt from Grant Chadwick. Wallace a transfer from Penn State. Chadwick in his first year here at LSU, over from Middle Tennessee. He's had an excellent season for LSU. Fair catch made at the 26-yard line, a 46-yard punt. Each team's had it once. Each team has punted. No score. We're just getting started on a gorgeous day in Oxford. Not far from the city square. What a great college town this is. Oxford, Mississippi. One of 4 matchups today between ranked teams. The first of 2 back-to-back here on ABC. Tonight in prime time, Alabama at Georgia. Second possession for Ole Miss. They had a 3-and-out on the first one. Chambliss, plenty of time, and the pass is batted down by Tamarcus Cooley. One of the hallmarks of the Rebels under Lane Kiffin and Charlie Weiss Jr., the offensive coordinator, balance. We think of them as a team that throws it around a lot, and they do. But they're averaging more than 200 yards rushing with Charlie Weiss Jr. calling the plays. He is impressive at age 32. The first 3-and-out on their opening drive since the LSU game last year. 11 straight games without a 3-and-out on their opening possession. That ended here this afternoon. Pressure from both sides, but a pretty clean pocket. Chambliss ran out of time, and then it's incomplete. Dropped by Kewan Lacey. Might have been a good thing for Ole Miss as they were coming after him quickly.
One thing that we haven't really seen from Ole Miss so far is utilizing that tempo. They want to do tempo on 3rd down especially.
Yeah, they weren't lined up on defense, LSU, but still they come after Chambliss, and he throws it away. Patrick Payton, the transfer from Florida State, putting the pressure on for Blake Baker.
Blake Baker does a great job on 3rd down, adjusting his personnel. So you're going to see throughout this game on 3rd down, Ole Miss will go faster than normal, but really on 1st and 2nd down, haven't seen that hyper speed that we've known. We've seen shifting and motion and movement. I'd like to see him play with a little more urgency offensively.
So Oscar Bird again. 24-year-old true freshman, 3 years of Australian rules football. Good punt. Xavion Thomas did well, made 3 Ole Miss Rebels miss for an 11-yard return of a 49-yard punt. Today's Impact Players presented by the Home Depot.
Aaron Anderson offensively there in the slot for LSU. He is so dynamic. Had the game-tying score last year on the 4th and 5. And then on the other side, Centarian Perkins, the pass rush specialist, kind of just a game changer there defensively for Ole Miss. So these 2 guys can take over the game if you let them.
I was surprised as we prepared for this game that Perkins does not have a sack yet this year for Ole Miss. And as a team, they have only 4. Perkins at 10.5 last season. Like the Perkins on the LSU defense, they move him around a lot. Trying to get favorable matchups. Jawan Johnson, the running back, went out in the flat. Deep pass, open receiver. Xavion Thomas weaving through the defense, inside the 20, and down near the 15. Antonio Kite brought him down after a 52-yard gain.
And he beats Graves off the ball really quick, puts up the mailman, going deep. They don't rotate him. The ball is a little underthrown, which probably helped him out. And a great job run after catch. An explosive play created already for LSU.
They've been waiting for the long pass plays. They get one. It's on the completion of the transfer from Mississippi State, who played in that rivalry against Ole Miss, the Egg Bowl. Out wide it goes to Aaron Anderson. He's inside the 10. Wydett Williams made the tackle. Both coaching staffs use the word elite to describe last year's Ole Miss defense, and a lot of NFL talent. It is not as good this year. Barrion Brown fights for the first down, and as you said, they're particularly vulnerable in the secondary. We've seen that already.
Yes, a big thing last year. Trey Amos was a lockdown corner on one side. They think Kite can at some point maybe develop into that, but he hasn't so far. And they have some guys on the outside like Chris Graves that have been picked on a time or two here in these first 4 games.
Pete Golding is the defensive coordinator, one of the best in the country. Doesn't have quite the talent to work with that he had a year ago. Amos, Greg mentioned, a second-round draft choice of the Washington Commanders. On first and goal, Jawan Johnson stacked up behind the line of scrimmage. No Caden Durham today, but the coaches feel Jawan Johnson is a good player to be at running back in this matchup.
Yes, because of the way he can contribute in the passing game. Pete Golding, the vulnerability against that defense is running backs out in the formation, in the passing attack. And then here, low red zone, they welcome back Trey'Dez Green, number 14. He's the guy they try to target in this part of the field.
He has missed the last couple of games with a knee injury. To the end zone, up for grabs, ricochet, and caught for a touchdown by Nick Anderson. It was Sage Ryan, the former LSU Tiger, who was in coverage, batted by Green, and a nifty catch by Anderson using all of that 6'4" frame.
And it was a pretty well defended ball throw, slightly upfield, gets tipped. But how about Anderson right there? And like it hit the ground. I don't think it did. That was a really, really good play by Anderson, staying alive from the progressive pylon cam. Right there, so close. Great play.
Well, they are going to take another look at this one as well. From that last angle, it looked like the point of the football might have hit the ground, but the prior angles, it didn't look that way.
Again, right here. Tremendous effort. The elbow's down. It's just, does he secure the catch? Does the ball hit the ground? That's what they're going to be looking at here.
Hands around. I don't think the ball ever hit the ground.
I don't think it did either. He kind of corralled it against the hip. Very close, but I don't think it did. I'm with you.
Tremendous snatch by Anderson, who brings size to a receiving core that is otherwise speedy but not particularly big.
And still possesses that top end speed to get behind the defense. He's been a little quiet here early on, but they feel like at some point he will break out. Maybe this is the game to do it.
After further review, William Field is uphill. Touchdown.
His second career touchdown reception as an LSU Tiger. Spent 3 years at Oklahoma and 10 touchdowns as a freshman. Their school record for receiving touchdowns by a first-year player. So LSU, slight underdog on the road against Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin. Off to a 6-0 lead. Damian Ramos on for the extra point. And whistles before the snap. Ken Williamson was looking to Lane Kiffin first, but the penalty is actually against Ole Miss.
Offside by contact. Defense number 6. Half the distance to the goal. The play try.
DJ Donnery. Ramos at one point made 129 straight PATs. This is just about automatic. I think Brian Kelly's asking, do you want the ball a little closer? Why mess with it?
Is this inside your range? Is probably what he asked him. What do you think?
I think he's got this.
I think he's okay.
He's missed only 3 of 190 in his career.
Maybe just want to change the club. Maybe go with a little 60 degree as opposed to the 56.
Silas Hall, the snapper, Grant Chadwick, the holder. When did it become so difficult to get the PAT snap off?
I don't think I've ever seen 2 offsides.
Well, if they keep moving it toward the goal line, you'd think they might go for 2, right?
Yeah.
Although Brian Kelly has not gone for it much in short yardage situations
Offside.
this year.
Defense number 51. Half the distance to the goal. The play try.
All right, Brian Kelly saying, no, you're close enough. We're going to turn that one down. They don't want to get him, so he's right under the crossbar. Yeah. And you do have to hit the 60-degree wedge. On that touchdown drive, Garrett Nussmeier 4 for 4 for 68 yards. Now, the much anticipated extra point. LSU's won 7 straight. It's the longest winning streak of the Kelly era. You're watching SEC All Day, presented by IHG Hotels and Resorts.
SEC on ABC College Football is presented by Burger King. You rule.
Nick Anderson, the touchdown catch off a ricochet, and LSU, its first conference road game of this season, off to a 7-0 lead here at Ole Miss. LSU's played just 1 conference game. That was their home win against Florida. Ole Miss is 2-0 in conference play, a win at Kentucky, and 2 weeks ago a victory here against Arkansas. Here's Isaiah Hartrip, and he's smothered at the 10-yard line. Well, the rare returnable kickoff against Aaron Burrell. Lane Kiffin did tell us yesterday, I don't mind the touchbacks. Just give me the ball at the 25 and let's go play. And that's probably why. Well, Lane Kiffin's daughter Landry made some news this week when she posted on Instagram a picture of herself with her boyfriend, Whit Weeks, the defensive captain of LSU, preseason All-American. It was a surprise to many, not just the relationship, but why reveal it this week? We talked to Whit Weeks about that and to Lane Kiffin. We'll tell you about that in a moment. But Lane Kiffin tweeted out that his daughter will be cheering for Ole Miss today, and Whit Weeks confirmed that when we spoke. Here's Deuce Alexander, and nothing doing as the wide receiver got tackled by Tamarcus Cooley. And there's the Weeks family. Whit told us his 12-year-old sister Kate, the youngest of the 4 children in the family, very upset that Landry is not cheering for Whit, her boyfriend. Well, it's blood we talk about. Landry, Kiffin, and her dad. Kewan Lacey, the ball carrier. Kate's here today cheering on 3 of her brothers, Whit, West, and Zach Weeks, all linebackers on this LSU team. She likes what she's seen from the defense so far. Sluggish start so far for this Ole Miss offense. They haven't had a first down. Trinidad Chambliss to Daquan Wright. There's a first down to the 25-yard line. He was hard to tackle. Whit Weeks got him on the ground with help from Mansour Delane, an 11-yard gain.
Now you can expect some of that tempo from Ole Miss. It's a well-timed throw, well-placed throw, and a nice conversion for the Rebels.
Ninth catch of the year for Wright, averaging 26 yards per catch prior to that one. Quick pop out wide. Great effort after the catch by Kewan Lacey. 9 yards on first down for the Rebels.
They'll move Kewan Lacey around. He's really good as a receiver, too, and as you can see, excellent after the catch.
Lacey again. Off left tackle, just enough for the first down. We asked Lane Kiffin about his daughter and Whit Weeks, and I think it's great. He's a great kid. We recruited him. He's from a great family. Whit Weeks told us he met Landry back in March in Baton Rouge when she came to visit some friends, mutual friends. They became friends, and then the relationship blossomed from there. Lacey again to the 45-yard line, 8 more.
It's kind of amazing, too, because Lane said he talked to Kirby Smart, doing some due diligence on the family, even a little deeper. He said he's just really a great kid, great family, like you said, Sean.
Well, the family's from right near Athens, Georgia. David, the dad, David Weeks, played at Georgia, was a center. But Whit Weeks is a great kid. We've talked to him several times now. He's about as likable as any player we've ever met with.
Great player, too. He terrorized Ole Miss last year to the tune of 18 tackles in that game.
Third down in inches, and Chambliss has the first down, just shy of midfield. I think the best line will put a period on the end of this with Landry, Kiffin, and Whit Weeks, at least for now, came from Lane's ex-wife, Layla, with whom he still has a nice relationship, and obviously the mother of Landry. She said to Lane Kiffin, "Why are you surprised? I mean, you're the king of stirring it up on social media." So that's what your daughter did on game week.
She also said, "Well, do you ever ask me when you post things?"
That's what the daughter said. To Lane Kiffin, "You never ask me when you post things." Logan Diggs is the running back. He played at LSU. Chambliss on target. Nice hands catch. Winston Watkins, the true freshman, who is emerging rapidly. A 13-yard gain and a nice drive.
And that was a great job of utilizing the snap count, too. Look back to the sideline snap that kind of caught LSU off guard.
Here comes the rapid tempo. Deuce Alexander has track speed. The transfer from Wake Forest couldn't break free from Harold Perkins, who's had a magnificent return from the ACL injury that limited him to 4 games a year ago.
Yeah, back playing now at that star position where his versatility can be utilized in pressure and in coverage, but still has that playmaking ability.
The 11th play of the drive. Flushed is Chambliss, now running room through the middle, and he slides down with a first down. They'll mark it where he started to slide at the 27-yard line. An 11-yard rush.
And this is what he does a little better than Austin Simmons. The sudden acceleration and being able to pick up yards on scramble drill makes him tough to defend.
Logan Diggs, who's played for Brian Kelly at both Notre Dame and LSU, and now he's an Ole Miss Rebel. He got a couple. Jack Pyburn made the stop.
This part of the field, you start to get on kind of the fringe of red zone. It's very heavy quarterback run with Trinidad Chambliss in the lineup the last couple weeks. So you can expect him to utilize that throughout the game in the red zone.
Kewan Lacey took the handoff. He got popped shy of the line to gain by West Weeks, the older brother of Whit, and the oldest of the 3. Zach's a freshman. And Blake Baker loves all 3 of them. Third down and 5. They're in field goal range. It's Daquan Wright, the tight end, lined up on the hip of Chambliss, trying to lead the way. He broke some tackles, has a first down. Out of bounds at the 14-yard line.
And a great job, too, because it looked like he was going to get tackled there by Payton, who had a pretty good grasp on him. Slips right inside of him, gets to the outside for the conversion.
Lacey, who transferred into Ole Miss after 1 year at Missouri. Lane Kiffin and his staff recruited him heavily out of high school. They were surprised when he elected to go to Mizzou out of Lancaster High School in Dallas, and glad he's become a Rebel. 16th play of the drive. They've moved 77 yards so far. Caden Lee knocked down at the 7-yard line by Deshaun Spears.
Just based on that last third down from Ole Miss, you might think quarterback run again. It's a very effective play, and knowing Lane Kiffin, he's probably thinking to himself, hey, all the struggles we've had defensively, field goals aren't going to win this game. We got to be aggressive in the red zone, so probably thinking 4-down territory.
Two tight ends in the game. They're both passing threats up close. Caleb Oden, number 4, along with Wright. Damian Taylor is the running back, and with the play clock running down.
Timeout, Ole Miss. First timeout of the half.
And we'll take it with them. Entertaining start in this battle of two unbeatens, LSU and Ole Miss in Oxford. The Taco Bell Live Más student section. Only one student section can claim the title of Live Más student section of the year. Who will take home the trophy? Become a very popular school. So oftentimes athletics helps raise the number of applications you get. The success of the football program has added to the popularity of this great institution among high schoolers. 3rd down and 4. This will be the 17th play of this drive. They're at the LSU 7-yard line. Chambliss has it batted down. Patrick Payton knocked it out of the air, and Lane Kiffin is going to send the field goal team on.
And that's the one aspect with Chambliss that you have to deal with. That's his 4th batted pass of the season. He's just not very tall. He's not very long. On the other side, Payton is 6'6", gets that big arm up, recognizing the quick game and deflecting the pass.
So here's Lucas Carnero with a 25-yard attempt. He's been outstanding in his first year here. 10 out of 11. And his only miss was from 51 to Kentucky when he hit the left upright. Ole Miss on the board, an 18-play drive matching the longest of the Lane Kiffin era. Well, we mentioned this is ranked against ranked in the SEC. We have another one tomorrow. Tonight. 7:30 on ABC right here. Number 17 Alabama, number 5 Georgia. I heard on game day this morning, and of course on ESPN at 10:15 tonight, BYU in Colorado. And I couldn't believe it. You know, we think of Georgia and Alabama played so many times in recent years, but it's the first time that Alabama is going to Athens since 2015.
I know, it's crazy, right? I mean, so many SEC championships, national championship there in Indianapolis. They played a lot, but not often in the home and home environment. So that'll be a great, great experience for those young players. The Crimson Tide heading to Athens between the hedges, one of the great environments in college football.
So here's Carnero to kick off. He was terrific for Western Kentucky last season, and he has been here at Ole Miss. And like Burrell, it's almost always a touchback, and that one almost flew into the stands at the back wall behind the end zone. So Molly McGrath tells us that Weston Davis, who had been their starting right tackle through the first 4 games, is not dressed today. Apparently suffered an injury in the warm-up. So Carius Kern, a true freshman from Hughes, Arkansas, gets his first career start.
Such a difficult spot, too. Tackle against this speed on the edge with Santarian Perkins and Uman Mielen. I would imagine they'll be attacking the right side of this offensive line all throughout the game.
Brian Kelly and his staff have been asked in the last couple of weeks a lot about Davis and his status. Brian made it a point to say he's still our right tackle. Here's Barryon Brown, the Kentucky transfer. 4-7, tripped up by Antonio Kite.
So far, I've liked the plan from Joe Sloan, the offensive coordinator, getting all your weapons involved. Everybody's got a touch now for the most part. One guy left. At some point, you want to get Trey'Dez Green, but he got the target on the touchdown that was deflected.
Davion Thomas slipped down for a loss of nearly 2. A minute to go in the opening quarter. LSU on top 7-3.
Third and medium here. LSU probably going to be looking in the direction of Aaron Anderson. He's number 1. He's in their slot. That's where they like to create matchups on third down in this area with option routes or something quick.
Nussmeier, the receiver not open. There's a flag. He was trying to get it to Aaron Anderson. Jalen Braxton had the coverage. A transfer from Arkansas who hasn't played much yet for Ole Miss.
And it's as Anderson's trying to break to the outside, you can see pretty clearly exactly what Braxton does. He closes on it. Involves a little bit of a collision, and that goes to the ground and draws the flag. Fans don't like it, but I do think it's probably the correct call.
So the penalty gives LSU the first down. The play clock's about to run out. I think Garrett Nussmeier is asking Ken Williamson, did the play clock reset?
Sounds like, too, you also get some contact here.
I wonder if that's who the call was on, because they announced it on number 6. And that's number 2, Braxton in coverage.
Braxton in coverage on Anderson. Kite in coverage on the receiver that was going a little deeper. So might have just gotten the call wrong. I didn't see TJ Daugherty out there. And poor Daugherty's probably looking around saying, what did I do?
Matt, what did you see?
Well, I agree. I didn't see anything really at all on the actual receiver the ball was thrown to. I agree with you. I think number 8 inside did get down around the ankles and maybe trip up the receiver, but I think the ball was already in the air to the other receiver at that point. So I think I'd have been better off with nothing being done.
Yes. I would concur. Caleb Jackson is in at running back now. We'll use 3 in place of Durham today. Nussmeier, far sideline, caught near the marker. Chris Hilton Jr., just his 4th catch of the year. There's a flag down back behind the line of scrimmage.
Personal foul. Anderson face. Defense number 96. 15-yard penalty. Number 1. First down.
Jamarius Brown, a defensive tackle. We lost a lot of talent in the front of that defense from a year ago.
And you'll see as he's rushing, kind of gets over to the left a little bit, but watch the left hand get up into the face right there of Braylon Moore, the center.
The excellent center, the best player on their offensive line, the leader of that group, a transfer from Virginia Tech. Final seconds of the quarter. They're across midfield of the Tigers. 10-yard gain on the pass. Movement along the line. Might be a free play for Nussmeier. He thinks so. Up for grabs for Hilton and broken up. Well covered by Antonio Kite, who's played for Alabama, Auburn, both sides of the Iron Bowl, and now he's at Ole Miss. Where does he go next year? Mississippi State?
Offside. Defense number 52. A 5-yard penalty will be enforced to begin the second period.
Will Eccles. ESPN's presentation of college football on ABC will return after this message and a word from our ABC stations. On to the second quarter we go on this glorious day in Oxford, Mississippi. Battle of two 4-0 teams, each in the top 13 of the country. LSU leading 7-3, and they're at the Ole Miss 38-yard line with 1st and 5 as the second quarter begins. LSU had just 1 yard rushing in the first quarter. A little trickery, the handoff to the speedy Barryon Brown. Sub 4.340, run by Brown. First down. A moment ago, Molly with Lane Kiffin.
Coach Kiffin, penalties, keeping that LSU drive alive. What are you going to emphasize with your defense here?
Well, just to calm down. You know, we got a fluke play for a touchdown down here, and then we did a good job, but we stalled in the red zone on offense. So just calm down a little bit, and we got a lot of games to play against some really good matchups. So just calm down and make them earn it.
Thank you, Coach.
And Lane himself has become better at calming down in recent years. He does hot yoga, extremely hot yoga, every day. Nussmeier on 1st and 10. Up for grabs and intercepted. Terrible decision. He threw it into traffic, and it got picked off by Wydett Williams Jr.
And just a brutal decision by Nussmeier. You're on the move. You're in good rhythm offensively. No need to force this on the in-breaking route. Wydett Williams' eyes go back towards the quarterback at the last possible second. He locates the football and goes up and gets it. And Pete Golding has emphasized over and over and over again this week, the defensive coordinator, they're going to drop to spots more so than they're going to run specific plays because LSU has a ton of tendency to hit the middle of the field. And that time Nussmeier does it, throws a pick.
For a smart guy who's played a lot of football, the son of a coach, he puts the ball up for grabs more often than he should. He threw 12 interceptions last year. And that's 3 this season. So the takeaway for Ole Miss, they come out firing, and Chambliss threw it through the hands of Dejon Stribling. First pick as a member of the Ole Miss Rebels for Williams, who transferred in from Louisiana Monroe, where he had 3 interceptions last year for the Warhawks. Nussmeier upset with himself, and he should be. Just cannot do that.
A big part of his offseason was being mature as a decision maker. Win the game, not the down. And that time right there, it's a terrible decision.
No, the other way around. Win the down.
Win the down, not the game.
Not the game. Exactly. Don't try to win the game on one play.
Right.
5-yard penalty. Remains second down.
That Zen being tested for Lane Kiffin. Diego Pounds moved. 6 penalties against Ole Miss, 0 for LSU. That yoga information came from that great E60 done by Ryan McGee. The Many Lives of Lane Kiffin debuted this week. If you haven't seen it, find it. Trinidad Chambliss. Crowd thought he was face masked, and they're going to get the call from the back judge. Walter Mathis Jr. on the tackle, might have grabbed the headgear. And if so, it's the first penalty assessed against the Tigers. The longer this conversation goes, the crowd starting to boo, saying, hey, it looked pretty obvious to us why you're having such a long conversation. But that's sort of what happens these days.
Didn't look like there was a hand up around the face mask, but did he grab it? I think it's probably what they're trying to figure out.
Well, the crowd's looking at a replay.
Personal foul, face mask,
Maybe the video board operator helped end the conversation.
And there it is, the left hand right there up in the face mask. He does grab it.
So why the long conversation now?
Not sure, but that's, if they're going to make the long conversation, at least get it right, and they absolutely got it right. Bails Ole Miss out of a jam after the first down penalty, being behind the sticks.
Well, the penalty to 25 and a first down for Ole Miss. Chambliss, nifty run down near another first down. Looks like they're going to mark them just short if it's the official spot on the near side of the field. Jamari Butler the tackle.
This quarterback run is very difficult to defend when you are a very aggressive defense like LSU is.
T1 Lacey a first down.
A lot of what Blake Baker wants to be. He wants to bring pressure. More than 40% of the defensive snaps, they're bringing at least 5 guys. But you can't pressure a quarterback that has that level of mobility, because if you overrush the quarterback, he could take off and hurt you. So very tough to defend.
Lacey trying to turn the corner. He does. Tackled by the freshman DJ Pickett. 2 flags back behind the line of scrimmage. If it stands, it's a first down. But you wonder there was some sort of blocking infraction that helped open up all that room for Lacey.
offense number 9. 10-yard penalty, previous spot. Big first down.
Luke Has listed as their 4th string tight end.
It was a nice design, and Has on the outside working against Cooley right there, holding on way too long, and just a bad decision. I'm not sure Cooley would have made the play if he would have just kind of stood right in front of him.
Well, the Rebels back at their 27-yard line. Logan Diggs back in at running back. Louisiana native, former LSU Tiger. They faked it to him, did Chambliss, and now checks it down to Diggs. And he gets stood up and knocked out of bounds by Whit Weeks.
Ole Miss is an offense that has been so good throughout these first 4 games, staying on schedule. They're one of the best in the country when it comes to line to gain on 3rd down, which means they've been great on 1st and 2nd. So really out of character here so far offensively, playing as off schedule as they are.
Against a defense that, like Ole Miss last season, might be elite at LSU. They went deep into the transfer portal, and it was money well spent. Talent at every level. Chambliss running out of time. Chased by Jack Pyburn and throws it away. Pyburn, one of those out of the transfer portal from Florida. What a defense this has become. That's 44 possessions on defense now for Blake Baker's defense in 4 games plus. And the opponents have scored only 4 touchdowns. Chambliss taken down by Pyburn again. And he's an emerging star, is Blake Baker, the 43-year-old defensive coordinator for LSU, who went to LSU to coach in part because his wife Rachel is a Tiger. She was an All-SEC soccer player at LSU.
He's done such a great job of kind of changing the identity, and man, they are reaching their ceiling with such improved personnel all over the field.
Bird with a flag down. Punts it to the boundary, dropped along the sideline, out of bounds by Xavion Thomas. Clearly that's the plan, trying to kick it away from him. 44-yard punt. It's a false start. Ken Williamson looks to the wrong side again. Now realizes Brian Kelly, do you want it?
Illegal formation. Offense. More than 4 players lining in the backfield. 5-yard penalty. Repeat 4th down.
Not surprising that he would. Sounds like he was going to accept the penalty there and make
he wanted it at the end of the kick if he could. Ken Williamson said it's going to be 4th down over again.
Give Xavier Thomas, one of the most electric return men in the business, opportunity to maybe get hands on it again.
And I think there's some confusion now among the officials. They are bringing the ball back. Whit Weeks in this defense. I've seen enough to believe, as Brian Kelly says, they are championship quality on defense.
No doubt about it, man. The big difference this year is that secondary. They are locked down in the back end. And what's most amazing when you watch them, it's very rare when you have this level of aggression, this many pressures, this many blitzes, you have a lot of busts. You rarely see them bust, and that's a testament to Blake Baker's ability to communicate and their players to execute.
Bird again sends it to the sideline again. Boy, his remarkable accuracy, just about the same thing. Dropped out of bounds by Xavier Thomas. And a 50-yard punt, beautifully placed. The defense continues to rule the day for the Tigers. They're up 7-3. Brian Kelly was upset. He spent most of that media timeout in animated conversation with the officials. We saw after the first punt, which there was a penalty against Ole Miss, he held up 5 yards and wanted it tacked to the end of the previous punt. But the officials brought it back and they punted over again. As a result, LSU has lost 5 yards. Deep pass intended for Barryon Brown, with Ricky Fletcher in coverage for Ole Miss. So let's go back. Here is after the first punt that Xavier Thomas dropped at the 27-yard line.
He's saying add 5. I'll pick.
Add 5. Add 5. And now this is the last punt, and he's telling him, I wanted 5 added to the previous punt. I guess the only question I have was, why wasn't Brian arguing more vehemently when they brought the ball back to punt it over again?
Right.
And he has reason to be displeased. Here's Xavier Thomas. They still can't get the running game going. That's a 4-yard gain. But I guess you don't need to run the football. They're without Caden Durham today. Questionable all week. Did not dress with an ankle injury. Third down and 6.
Always thinking Aaron Anderson in this situation. Down here in the back of the stack alignment.
They rush. Nussmeier takes off running, gets taken down from behind by Sunterian Perkins. The 1-yard gain, but they didn't get the first down. And the Tigers will punt.
Sunterian Perkins working against the left side, and Nussmeier's trying to find Anderson. Can't quite see him because the pocket condenses, and a good job by Perkins grabbing the undershirt, it looked like, of Nussmeier and dragging him to the ground.
Hard man to run away from. Perkins told us before the game at Kentucky week 2 he's the fastest man on the team. Zeus Alexander, the wide receiver, debated that. We visited with him yesterday. Not a good looking punt, but it takes a great bounce for Grant Chadwick. Picked up by Trey Wallace. And then the sideline of the crowd wanted a late hit out of bounds. There is no flag, and the Bluebirds come out again. 48-yard punt, 9-yard return. Not a lot on offense, but one good drive. Matching a game against Indiana in 2020 for the most plays. One possession under Lane Kiffin.
Very out of character, too. Like you said, Their usual drive takes about 2 minutes and 15 seconds off the clock. It's one of the fastest rates in college football. So very out of character to have a long, time-consuming, tons of play drive resulted in a field goal.
Chambliss 6 for 13 passing for 41 yards. He's their leading rusher with 36 on 6 carries. T1 Lacey, the running back, tight formation. Chambliss throws into single coverage, and it's caught. Beautiful throw, perfectly timed, and a first down for Deuce Alexander at the LSU 47. That's 23.
And a great job fighting through contact, too, by Alexander and reeling in the back shoulder.
DJ Pickett, the true freshman, had the coverage. Lacey in trouble and stacked up with the line of scrimmage. So Marcus Cooley, one of those transfers in the secondary from NC State, whereas their starting nickel last year, made the play.
Anytime you see a safety in Cooley coming up and making the play in the backfield, that's an indicator that LSU, right now, those safeties are very, very tight. At some point, Ole Miss is going to have to continue to try to push the ball downfield, take a shot downfield, soften that coverage up.
Another play action pass, and Chambliss not on the same page with Harrison Wallace III, better known as Trey. Flag down, far side of the field.
Nails receiver downfield, offense number 62. Penalty is declined. That's down. Go down.
And they made sure Brian Kelly wanted to decline it.
Excuse me.
Brian Kelly, 317 career wins at all levels of college football. That's almost 100 more than any other active FBS coach. 98 ahead of Kirk Ferentz.
Sliding the protection towards Hale Perkins, it looks like.
Perkins, number 7 on the LSU defense. Clean pocket, good throw. Nifty run after the catch for Deuce Alexander. And a first down for the Rebels at the LSU 32. That's 16 yards.
And that was a well-timed throw. It's right on the receiver's body, allows him plenty of time and separation to break the tackle and pick up the conversion.
He is Hilton Alexander II, nicknamed Deuce. His dad was a wide receiver in the NFL. Chambliss wide open. Caden Lee down and then lost the ball at the 3. It's recovered for a touchback in the end zone. Whit Weeks recovered the ball. The question was Caden Lee down before he fumbled? A.J. Halsey ripped it out.
Halsey's so instinctive. There it goes right there. The ball is out. It's a great look. And Halsey, what a huge addition he's been to the back end of this defense. Constantly making plays on the ball, punching it out there, and a huge change of events for the Rebels.
And Lee injured on the play in which he fumbled. Huge turnover. The ball back to the Tigers when we come back.
SEC on ABC is presented by Burger King. Try the latest in the Whopper by You series, now featuring our guest-inspired Crispy Onion Whopper and Crispy Onion Whopper Jr., topped with golden onion rings, crispy onions, and sweet and smoky barbecue sauce. You rule.
Big play by the LSU defense and a couple of studs who came to their defense through the transfer portal. Mansour Delane was making the tackle. A.J. Halsey punched it out. The first fumble recovery of this season for Whit Weeks in the LSU defense. They've had 6 interceptions. And this is a home run. A lot of people rated their transfer portal class #1 in the country.
It's a grand slam. It's unbelievable.
Harlem Berry came on it running back. Here's Aaron Anderson with another flag thrown by the back judge. Jaden Yates made the tackle for Ole Miss. where we just see so many flags every week. This is going to be the 10th assessed in the game.
Offense number 14.
Not even midway through the second quarter, Trey Green called for the penalty.
It's kind of crazy too. He's engaged, but watch him drag the defender to the ground as he's going. I mean, right there, and just pulls that jersey very clearly to the ground. Not sure why he was doing that.
I just think you could call that on just about every play. Harlem Berry, the freshman, 5-star recruited and running back. Up for grabs, a high ball. That's one that gets your receiver hurt, and Anderson is still down on the ground. Took a hit from Wydett Williams. He's coming on. He got there late. He transferred in from ULM and didn't arrive until just prior to fall camp.
The ball just took a little too long to get there. It looked like Anderson was there for a moment, but Williams was able to close up that window quickly.
Well, they thought Nussmeier's core injury was improving and his accuracy would be better, but that hasn't proven true so far. 6 out of 11. And the really bad interception. Caleb Jackson, the running back, on 2nd and 20. Nussmeier from the goal line. Throws on the run again, up for grabs, and he's fortunate to get away with that one. As many blue shirts in the vicinity as there were Tiger teammates, and Joe Sloan perplexed, as is Brian Kelly. Antonio Kite is the injured defender. He was part of that pass breakup. Timeout. We're midway through the second quarter. A 4-point LSU lead. There were 2 Ole Miss defenders injured on the last play. Antonio Kite landed hard on his side. Might have just had the wind knocked out of him. And then Prince Umanmielen looked like he suffered an ankle injury as he came off the field. Kite's back on his feet. Umanmielen looked to be the worst of the 2 in terms of the injury. He is in the tent. So here's a 3rd down and 20. Caleb Jackson, the running back, and they give it to him. Conservative play call. Just want to improve the field position for the punt. A 10-yard gain.
That 3rd down has been problematic a little bit for LSU all throughout the season. That is their 18th 3rd down and 11 plus. That's the most in the Power 5. There's only 2 teams with more. That's Charlotte and Central Michigan. So they got to be better on 1st and 2nd down to avoid those early penalties to get them behind the sticks.
Grant Chadwick, the punter. Trey Wallace back for it. Fair catch signaled and made at the 30-yard line. 50-yard punt by Chadwick. This Monday night, a Monday Night Football doubleheader starting at 7 on ESPN with the Jets and the Dolphins, each looking for its first win of the season. The good news is someone's likely to win. There could be a tie. Then at 8 on ABC, Cincinnati and Denver, both games available on the all-new spectacular ESPN app. Ole Miss has 175 yards of offense. They've outgained LSU by 65, but they've been hurt by penalties, 8 of them, by the turnover inside the 5-yard line. Trinidad Chambliss, the quarterback, gave it to Lacey out of the shotgun. Another flag thrown, this one by the center judge behind the line of scrimmage. A.J. Halsey made the tackle. No gain on the play.
Holding, offense number 8. 10-yard penalty for the previous spot. Big 1st down.
Daquan Wright, the tight end, to transfer from Virginia Tech. 9 Rebel penalties, and still 6:43 to go in the half.
And as Lacey tries to break it to the outside, just to grab with that left hand at the jersey of Pyburn, and that's what leads to the call.
Logan Diggs. Interesting formation here. He's in at running back. Play fake. Chambliss under duress with a blitz coming, and there's going to be a grounding call. I think the crowd thinks it might have been roughing the passer, but to me, it looked like a grounding call.
Personal foul.
Well, it is roughing the passer.
Defense.
And it was West Weeks. Ryan Kelly asking who's it on. It was West Weeks.
And Weeks looked like he could have held up. Instead, he decides to push Chambliss there late.
Yep, no question.
So it's a good call, and Chambliss kind of sells it a bit, but a good call. I mean, I don't know what Weeks is thinking there. Just a dumb play, and that's twice now that Ole Miss has been bailed out of their own penalty with a penalty on LSU that results in a first down.
The pass was tipped, therefore no intentional grounding. 35-yard line is the line of scrimmage. The fake to Lacey. Chambliss batted down for an incomplete pass. Another PBU for Patrick Payton, the fifth-year senior from Miami, to transfer from Florida State. We had 16 career sacks as a Seminole. He arrived in December out of the portal.
That was a nice play, too, and that's now twice that Payton's got hands at the line of scrimmage on a ball.
Ole Miss picking up the tempo a bit. Weeks came on a blitz, and the pass is incomplete, nearly intercepted. Diving attempt by DJ Pickett, true freshman out of Zephyr Hills, Florida.
Haven't seen a ton of pressure so far. This time, kind of a simulated pressure. They bring Weeks up the middle. They drop a defensive end out. Kind of led to a little confusion, looked like, with Chambliss.
Flags down. Could be. No, it's not going to be a free play. They're stopping it. Crowd doesn't like that. They thought LSU jumped, and the play should have been allowed to continue.
Offside. By contact. Defense number 88.
I understand why they're frustrated, because they love to get that free play opportunity, but when Gooden jumps across and initiates contact with an offensive lineman, that's what is going to lead to the play being called dead. And here, right there, it looked like, ooh, did he even initiate contact before the ball was snapped? Didn't look like it did. So that could have potentially been a free play.
Makes it a more manageable third down. 3rd and 5. They're 4 out of 8. Are the Rebels on third down? A late blitz from Whit Weeks. A wide open receiver is Winston Watkins. Tackled by Delane, but it's a first down for Ole Miss to the 48. They'll go very quickly after the 12-yard pickup. Lane Kiffin thinks Watkins has a chance to be special. It looked like LSU might have been offside on that play. There's no flag. Kewan Lacey out of bounds just inside the 45-yard line. They're picking up the tempo again. Chambliss single coverage. It's intercepted. A lot of hand fighting. There is a flag. DJ Pickett is going to bring it all the way back, but there are 2 flags down. And the crowd thinks this is coming back for pass interference. He was tangled up with Deuce Alexander.
Looked like Pickett actually almost grabbed Alexander, threw him out of the way, and then retrieved the pass.
And they are bringing the ball back.
Pass interference, defense number 3. Automatic first down.
Very nearly the first interception thrown as an Ole Miss Rebel by Trinidad Chambliss.
And watch as he just kind of pulls the receiver out of the way and reels in the interception. A good call by the official. The right hand, the jersey pulling him through. I think it's absolutely the correct call.
It wipes out a 72-yard interception return for a touchdown. Matt Austin, our referee, agrees with the call. 14 penalties assessed, still 5:20 to go in the half.
What's the record?
I think we had it last week in Oklahoma. Chambliss single coverage again, entanglement, and another flag. This one on P.J. Woodland, who was there with Trey Wallace. That's their best play so far.
Pass interference, defense number 11.
And the right hand very clearly there of Woodland, grabbing Wallace's left arm, doesn't allow him to get back to the ball, and another good play. Good call.
When we talked to Charlie Weiss Jr. yesterday, he said they think Mansour Delane is one of the best corners in the country, number 4 for LSU. So they're going to go after Woodland more often than Delane. We never called Delane's name. He doesn't make many tackles because his man rarely catches the ball. Lacey, touchdown! 15 yards and Ole Miss has the lead. Lacey's 8th rushing touchdown of the season. That leads the Southeastern Conference, and Lucas Carnero gives Lane Kiffin and the Rebs a 3-point lead.
And this defense very aggressive, but sometimes you live by the movement and you die by the movement. This time they die. Why? Look at those 2 defensive linemen on the right side, both slant inside. You have Weeks trying to get to the outside, but he can't fill it. They just played their way out of the gap. And sometimes when you have a chaos-causing front with the movement that LSU utilizes, you can leave gaps uncovered. That's exactly what happened there. Lacey finds it, and the Rebs take the lead.
Four LSU penalties. The undoing of Blake Baker's defense on that Ole Miss touchdown drive. They went 70 yards in 5 plays. 49 of those yards came on LSU penalties. So Carnero to kick off. Barryon Brown, the deepest for LSU. 5 career kickoff returns for touchdowns at Kentucky. That's the SEC record. Kyle Parker returns it to the 20 for a 19-yard return. Here's Kevin Nagandi.
Sean, good afternoon. State Farm halftime report minutes away. Dan Orlovsky, Booger McFarland in studio. We have 2 top 25 walk-off endings. Highlights coming your way. Ohio State in some trouble in the tight one, and that is going to come your way in Washington. Meanwhile, Tennessee on the road in Starkville. Oh, no. The interception, Blake Shepin. There goes Colton Hood.
Tips and overthrows, Kev, on defense. We got to get those.
And then Mississippi State is undefeated, and they are not backing down from the Volunteers, up by 4. Highlights coming your way.
Cowbells.
All right, gentlemen, thank you. LSU hasn't done much on offense again today. Swing pass, Jawan Johnson. Or excuse me, Xavion Thomas. They're him out of bounds at the 32-yard line. 12-yard gain. Speaking of Mississippi State, the transfer from Starkville, Thomas.
And this is basically, when you talk about LSU doesn't run the ball, what is this? It's a toss sweep. That's basically what it is. So yes, it goes down in the passing category, but that's essentially an extended handoff. You get it to one of your best players in space, and Thomas nearly tightropes the sideline, just runs out of room.
Xavion Thomas again. Lowered his head to get a yard. Here's Molly McGrath.
LSU wide receiver Aaron Anderson strained his right elbow. He was in visible pain and couldn't lift that right arm. But when athletic training staff put a brace on the elbow, tighten it as much as possible, I'm told he will try to play through it. And for Ole Miss, their edge rusher, Princewell Umanmielen, still limping on a heavily taped right ankle. He's still being evaluated.
All right, Molly, thank you. Anderson is on the field, their leading receiver last year and this year. And he manages to catch a ball thrown behind him. Nice catch by Anderson. 61 receptions a year ago. Jamarius Brown made the tackle. Gain of 5.
It's a great catch there by Anderson, and he's now going off after getting a little bit more banged up with that right shoulder after the physical tackle. And now this is usually the down where they look in his direction. So filling in for him in the slot, looks like it's going to be number 12, Kyle Parker. Will he be the guy they now target in a 3rd and medium?
0 for 3 on 3rd down. And again, the problem Greg mentioned earlier, they have a long way to go, averaging nearly 11 yards per 3rd down. Caleb Jackson, the running back. 4-man rush. Nussmeier pulled it down. The completion well short of the line to gain. To Caleb Jackson. TJ Daugherty, one of the leaders of that defense.
That was a great play there by Daugherty. It's always difficult to be covering one of those outstanding running backs out in the pass route. He closes quickly. And Nussmeier trying to get it to Parker, starts right, works all the way back, makes a good decision. This one you usually think is going to be a no-doubter, but a slightly more accurate throw might have given them more of a chance.
And Nussmeier still not completely there with his accuracy. Chadwick, low and wobbly, caught on the move by Trey Wallace. They got ripped down just across the 30-yard line. 38-yard punt, 6-yard return. Today's college football rankings brought to us by Prudential. LSU actually won last week 56-10 against Southeastern Louisiana and dropped from 3 to 4. Miami, after its win against Florida, leapfrogged both LSU and Penn State, went up to number 2. Some tough games today for teams in the top 10, and that game for Ohio State at Washington is no picnic.
A relatively young Ohio State team replacing so many pieces of last year's national championship winning team. First road trip into a crazy hostile environment against an elite quarterback in DeMond Williams. It's a tough test.
Well, Ole Miss ranked number 13. And in every ranking since the start of the 2023 season, Caden Lee tripped up where he had a lot of grass. A.J. Halsey might have saved a touchdown. 30 yards on the completion to Lee.
Now Ole Miss starting to get the 2-minute drive. There's a bailout for LSU because of the tempo that they're about to use.
Couple of big plays by Halsey. He punched the ball away from Caden Lee inside the 5 earlier in this quarter. He might have saved the touchdown with that trip up. 2-minute timeout. Ole Miss leading by 3. You're watching the SEC on ABC, presented by Burger King. Vaught Hemingway Stadium in Oxford, Mississippi. Sellout crowd, about 66,000 on hand. Ole Miss leading at the 2-minute timeout of the first half, 10-7. And they're at the Tiger 39-yard line. 1st and 10. T1 Lacey. Shoddy tackling, and then he's chopped down by Mansour Delane at the 34-yard line. Flag down. We've heard that before. If it's against Ole Miss, and it appears to be, it's going to be the 10th penalty of the half.
Holding, offense number 75. 10-yard penalty and spot of the foul. Repeat first down.
And they called it on the right guard as Kudus is working all the way across. It's tough to tell. Yeah, that right hand right there at the end looked like it did have a hold of the jersey.
10 penalties, the most in a half under Lane Kiffin in his 6th year. The previous high in a half was 9, 2 times, both in 2021. Against Austin Peay and Louisville, both in the first half. Pressure, they don't get there. Up for grabs and caught on the far sideline by Deuce Alexander with Woodland in coverage.
Ole Miss just continues to keep going back to it. The safety on the far side, Halsey, has been lined up near the middle of the field. They have one-on-one all day long against Woodland and Pickett, and they're winning that matchup.
It looks like the blitzers are coming very late and not impacting Chambliss. They're coming from deep, and they hesitate and then blitz, and they don't get close. Chambliss was tripped up that time by Harold Perkins. Well, LSU does have a couple of timeouts if they wanted to try to get the ball back here. The time's not an issue for Lane Kiffin, and he's happy to let it run. Just one good drive for LSU, the touchdown drive. And they went 70 yards in 5 plays. It's been a nothing burger other than that. Lacey, a hole to the left, and then a stiff arm to Marcus Cooley, and Mansour Delane stack him up. Now Brian Kelly's going to use one of those timeouts. And Brian Kelly's asking Blake Baker what's going on. I think he was wondering why the crowd was booing. They thought maybe they were a little too frisky at the end of the tackle.
Timeout, LSU. 49 seconds on the play clock. 49.
Well, some of the storylines, as they so often do, involve the quarterbacks coming in. Chambliss getting his biggest test as the starter, getting the start today. I think he's been pretty impressive.
Very much so. And I think Lane Kiffin kind of described his entire offense. It's kind of a resilient bunch, a bunch that will weather the storm better than maybe they have in the past. And I think Chambliss is kind of a perfect example of that. A little bit of a tough start, felt the pressure early, maybe wasn't seeing the field real well, but has really settled in here in the second quarter and has been much more accurate.
Hey, hold on.
Some of the services that evaluate that sort of thing had him rated as the number 60 quarterback in the transfer portal and 800 plus overall. 13 completions for 183 yards, and again he hasn't turned it over. Now he did get away with an interception, but it was clearly a pass interference call on the pick 6 that came back from DJ Pickett.
I think Lane Kiffin, when he said he went and watched his tape, it really speaks to kind of his ability to evaluate and see potential and see talent, even if others don't. That really is tremendous work by Kiffin and his staff.
And so when he first saw his tape, he reminded him of Russell Wilson. Here's Lacey, tripped up. Short of the first down. Big tackle by P.J. Woodland. Is Brian Kelly going to use his last timeout? It doesn't seem like it. I don't know why now Lane Kiffin's going to use his to figure out what he wants to do.
Timeout. Ole Miss. 3:32 seconds on the play clock. 3-2.
Well, for most of Lane Kiffin's time here, he's been a go for it on 4th down kind of guy, leaning heavily on analytics. Not quite as much lately. You asked him about that in our meeting yesterday.
And it's kind of wild when you think about it. So far this year in plus territory, they're going for it around 9% of the time. That's 134th. They just have not been a team this year that has been as aggressive offensively. He said, yeah, I study the book, I go off the book, and sometimes it adjusts based on who we're playing, but back in the day, this is a no-doubt go for Lane, but I would imagine this year maybe he's approaching it a little differently.
Well, he's looking at the play sheet as if they were looking for the play in concert with Charlie Weiss Jr.
On short yardage, it's almost a lock what they're going to do. They're going to go some type of direct snap. Whoever catches the snap's likely going to be the ball carrier, and they've utilized a bunch of guys to do that this year. It's been Lacey, it's been Taylor, it's been Daquan Wright, and it's also been Chambliss. So expect direct snap, and whoever catches it's going to run it.
Blake Baker's defense has given up 148 yards of offense to Ole Miss here in the second quarter. Gashed as they have not been this season. Third down and a long yard, just one timeout left for each team. And out of the pistol with Lacey behind Trinidad Chambliss. Wright is wide open. Daquan Wright out of bounds at the 5. He got out of bounds to stop the clock. They have the timeout left, so the whole playbook available. On first and goal from the 5. Lacey. Finally taken down. And Lane Kiffin is almost all the way down to the goal line to call timeout.
And that fourth down play was just a thing of beauty by Lane Kiffin and Charlie Weiss Jr. They run this play all the time. They're going to motion Wright out in the flat really quickly. With some urgency right through it, you get that defender on the end of the line of scrimmage to bite inside, and immediately Wright jumps flat. What's impressive about that, though, was the throw. It looked like for a moment that Whit Weeks was in a great spot to get a hand on the football, and Chambliss has had 2 passes deflected already. He threw it around Whit Weeks that led to the conversion. That was a great throw around a defender on the 4th and 1.
Lane Kiffin and Charlie Weiss Jr., both sons of coaches. Of course, Monty Kiffin, one of the driving forces behind the Tampa 2, passed away a year ago, and he talked in that documentary about how important his dad was in his development, both as a coach and a person. And of course, Charlie Weiss Jr.'s dad, former head coach at Notre Dame, offensive coordinator with the New England Patriots, among other stops. Second and goal, now they're out of timeouts. 9th play of the drive. Started at their own 31. Logan Diggs, the running back. He chipped Perkins. Touchdown! Caden Lee. Some terrific play calling by Charlie Weiss Jr. And a 2-score lead now for Ole Miss. And LSU can't continue to say that the offense is doing enough. Step up in class today on the road against number 13 in the country. Just 128 yards for Brian Kelly's offense.
And this is just a great recognition. Look at this. There's only 2 defenders for 3 Ole Miss wide receivers. So they bust this. They have way too many guys to the left-hand side of the defense, meaning there's nobody to cover anyone to the right-hand side. This is just a complete bust defensively from LSU and not something they're used to seeing from Blake Baker's defense.
View from the progressive pylon camera. Caden Lee hasn't been as prolific this year as he was last year. That's his first touchdown catch of the season. And Chambliss Now 15 for 25. The dunk has become a tradition. Substitute dunker, Xavier Harris, defensive tackle. So it's the first time this year that LSU has given up more than 10 points in a game. In game number 5, comes in less than a half. Carnero down to the 2. Kyle Parker. And they decide to forego the touchbacks from Carnero, and they've covered very well the last couple. 16-yard return for Parker. And the Ole Miss fans on their feet. Recognition of the likelihood their team is going to take a 10-point lead into the locker room. With a 285 to 128 edge in total yardage. Nussmeier takes a knee. Here's Lane Kiffin with Molly McGrath.
Coach, a huge 4th down conversion that led to that score to give you a 2-score lead. What did you see from quarterback Trinidad Chambliss in your offense in that final possession?
Well, I think he was rattled early with everything, and then he calmed down. We made some plays around him, and really our defense has played really well. They have one fluke touchdown, as their only score. So we're going to have to play really well in the second half, play really good defense, and continue to run the ball for some balance against these guys. They got great players.
What has your defense done to frustrate quarterback Garrett Nussmeier?
Well, I think they had the one long play. Other than that, they haven't given up big plays. So that was our theme, stay deep, make them earn it. And we got to clean up our penalties, too.
All right, thank you, Coach.
All right, thanks.
Sean.
The LSU had 150-yard play. On their other 23 plays from scrimmage, they just 76 yards. 10 penalties in the half for Ole Miss. But they lead 17-7 at halftime. Now the State Farm halftime report. Here's Kevin.
Sean, thank you. State Farm.
You're watching the SEC on ABC, presented by Burger King. From Vaught Hemingway Stadium, Oxford, Mississippi. Homestanding Ole Miss a 17-7 lead. LSU scored first on a ricochet. Nick Anderson the catch for the touchdown. Keywan Lacey, the touchdown after a field goal that gave them a 10-7 lead. And Caden Lee, in the final seconds of the first half, atoning for his fumble inside the 5-yard line when they were going in, and acknowledging that, it seemed, to the crowd after he scored his first touchdown of the season. LSU will get the ball first. Lucas Carnero will kick off. Barryon Brown back deep. Ball came off the tee. Caden Lee had a huge game last year in Baton Rouge. He had a career high in catches and receiving yards. He had 9 catches for 132 yards in that game. Relatively quiet so far this season until today. 4 catches for 70 yards and a touchdown. Will be a touchback.
Let's take a look at our high-speed highlights brought to you by T-Mobile 5G Home Internet. And so far, Nussmeier's been a little bit affected by a 3-man rush drop 8. You should have all time to throw. Instead, he forces one into triple coverage. And he is just not seeing the field very well against that 3-man rush drop 8. He's got to be better. And how do you get him to stop rushing just 3? You got to run him out of it. So at some point here, offensive coordinator Joe Sloan, they got to establish a little bit more balance by running the football. This 3-man rush has been problematic for Nussmeier.
And they only ran the ball 9 times in the first half. 15 passes. They only had 1 possession of 5 plays. It's 6 possessions in the first half. None of them more than 5 plays. 5-play drive was their 70-yard touchdown. 50 of that on 1 play. They keep poo-pooing the struggles of the offense, but it's real.
It is. Then they got to find some balance. I mean, Nussmeier right now has missed some easy throws, but there haven't been a lot of easy throws out there. And I think the way that they can hopefully get a little bit more cushion is if they commit a little better to the run game.
And after the 8-yard pass to Brown, it's a first down for Jawan Johnson. So what else can they do to get this going? I agree with you. I mean, if they're going to drop so many people in coverage, Ole Miss, you have to run the football.
Have to. You got to run them out of it. And I think that is going to be a big part of the point of emphasis on this opening drive, is to just try to establish a little rhythm in the ground game.
First and 10. A minute gone by in the second half. Nussmeier sacked back inside the 30-yard line by Will Eccles, the first sack of the day for Ole Miss.
Well, second half, much like the first. What is it? A 3-man rush. Eccles and 2 of his friends did a little twist up front. Eccles breaks through and drops Nussmeier. And Eccles, he's been a big surprise this year. They had really high hopes for him. And, man, I think he has played well above what anyone could have anticipated in his sophomore season.
They had some holes to fill on defense for Pete Golding. Well, Nolan, a first-round pick in the middle of that defensive line from a year ago. J.J. Pegues was a late-round pick. Nussmeier retreating and throws it away. Cam Franklin, the pressure. Here's Molly.
Well, LSU head coach Brian Kelly really frustrated at the half, admitting that he was frustrated with this offense. Said our defense was on the field for nearly 50 plays. Our offense only played 24. He said we need to play complementary football. Our offense is hanging out our defense to dry. He finished with our offense just needs to play better and then stormed off. So Brian Kelly at his wits' end with their offensive struggles, guys.
Which includes an 0 for 4 on third down today. And again, third and long yardage, a season-long problem. They rushed 3, dropped 8. Nussmeier took the check down to Caleb Jackson. Well, last year when these two teams played, Nussmeier was not sacked at all, even though Ole Miss led the nation in sacks coming in. But Nussmeier, despite not being sacked, had his worst day from a passing percentage of his career. Matter of fact, the only game of his career that he was under 50% passing. 22 out of 51 for 43%. But last year, that was an elite defense for Ole Miss. Brian Kelly said that. Lane Kiffin said that. This defense for Ole Miss might be better than anticipated. Trey Wallace, the fair catch. With a 52-yard punt by Grant Chadwick. So here comes Trinidad Chambliss. $15 for 25 for 193 in the touchdown. He still hasn't thrown an interception. And he rushed for 40 yards.
I think most impressively about that stat line is that it was not pretty, those first 3 or 4 drives. And, man, he settled in and the offense really got going as they worked into the second quarter.
'23-year-old. Transferred from Ferris State, where he spent 3 years, was the starter for only 1 last year on a 14-1 national championship team. And what a year he had. Threw for 2,900 yards and 26 touchdowns, rushed for over 1,000 and 25 more scores. Put that in harm's way for Deuce Alexander. With P.J. Woodland in coverage. I thought it was interesting talking to Charlie Weiss. So when they looked at the tape from Ferris State, they also picked up a couple of plays that they have put into their playbooks. That it's a very well-coached team at Ferris. They've won 3 national championships in the last 4 years. They're 4-0 and number 1 in D2 this year.
He wouldn't tell us which plays, though. That's the problem.
A toss to Kejuan Lacey, a flag down. Jack Pyburn made the tackle. 10 penalties in the first half against the Rebels, their most in a half under Lane Kiffin. And the officials with another lengthy conversation.
There's no foul for the block in the back. The contact was initiated on the side of the player. Go down.
Right there, Hayden Lee working against the lane. It does look close. It does start on the side. That's the goal. If it starts on the side, then that's going to be a no call. So a well officiated play there.
Third down and 11. Ole Miss 5 out of 10 on third down. 3 minutes gone by, second half. Chambliss tripped up. Did he get to the first down? It looks like he did, with about a half-yard to spare. Another open field tackle by A.J. Halsey to prevent a bigger play.
And a great job, too, by Charlie Weiss Jr., recognizing that they had numbers in the box.
Play action pass, immediate pressure from Bernard Gooden, forcing the throwaway. Ole Miss coaches talk about what a difference it is for Chambliss. I mean, last year playing at Ferris State, he was playing in front of about 5,000 people per game, sometimes fewer. There's a look at their home field. Top Taggart Field in Big Rapids, Michigan. Trees and empty seats in the background. Last week against Tulane, he played in front of 65,000. Week 4 last year against Rio Grande for Ferris, he played in front of 5,400, and that was homecoming.
Yeah.
So this is all new to him, but it hasn't flustered Trinidad Chambliss.
You look at the numbers. I mean, just 53,000 attended, but man, he's been up to the challenge. And Lane Kiffin said he's about as appreciative as he's ever had as a player, because knowing where he came from, what he has access to now, he's just happy to have free Gatorade, quote unquote.
Yeah.
It's really
happy
cool.
to be here.
Really cool in this day and age.
2-yard rush for Chambliss, third down and 8.
They worked that top several times to Woodland. Now Halsey's on that hash, talk you out of it.
Given a lot of time by the line, and the pass incomplete. Alexander had stopped, covered by P.J. Woodland. Well, Ferris State must also be a very outstanding academic institution, because our Matt Austin is a referee. Our referee is a graduate of Ferris State. What did you get your degree in, Matt?
That would be marketing.
That's the toughest major there is, Matt. It's a marketing major. I'm allowed to say that.
Here's an Oscar Bird punt, a short one. Fair catch made by Xavion Thomas. It'll be good field position for LSU. Just a 35-yard punt. Matt didn't offer his GPA. 10-point lead for Ole Miss at home. The National Championship Trophy is here, presented by Dr. Pepper. That is the standard at LSU. Lane Kiffin has great appreciation for Brian Kelly, but he also pointed out the previous 3 head coaches at LSU all won a national championship, and in year 4 expectations higher for the man they call BK. They do have Harlem Berry in the game. Why not? He's supposedly an explosive player. I know he's still learning the offense, but at a certain point, handing the ball and see if he can get something going on the run.
Yeah, get it going. I mean, anything. Just commit to the run game on this drive. Just give us one drive where you are super committed to the run game. Harlem Berry's an issue in pass protection. Who cares? Just hand it to him. Let's see what he does with it.
5-yard gain for Berry, true freshman out of New Orleans, the Gatorade Louisiana Player of the Year last year, and rated by many recruiting services the #1 running back in the country. They swing it to him again in space, and he gets ripped down by T.J. Donnery, second-year starter at linebacker. Joe Sloan is the offensive coordinator. They're trying to pick up the tempo. He's matching wits today with a very good friend, Pete Golding, the defensive coordinator for Ole Miss. Berry straight ahead for a first down. Sloan and Golding. Blake Baker as well spent time in Conference USA. Golding at Southern Miss. Sloan a long time at Louisiana Tech. They recruited a lot of the same territory. They've socialized frequently. They exchanged some playful text messages this week.
They said all the time in the recruiting battles down in Louisiana, they logged a lot of hours together.
Paul Mubenga, the left guard, is down on the field for LSU.
Tomorrow on Sunday NFL Countdown, the latest on Baker Mayfield and the Bucs injuries ahead of their game against the Eagles. Plus, live on the field as Jackson Dart prepares to make his first NFL start. Back to you in Oxford, Sean.
Of course, that's big news here in Oxford. Jackson Dart, former Ole Miss Rebel. Paul Mubenga injured on the play. They already lost Weston Davis to an injury in the pregame warm-ups. They're starting right tackle. Mubenga started every game at left guard. DJ Chester's basically been the sixth man on the offensive line. He was not available in the first half because of a second half targeting ejection last week against Southeastern Louisiana. He's not in the game right now. Cohen Eccles is in at left guard. Barryon Brown to the 39-yard line. TJ Daugherty to tackle. They're without Aaron Anderson. See the brace on his elbow. They were also told by Molly he has a bit of a knee issue, so that's a huge loss. Their leading receiver last season and this. He caught the touchdown 23 yards from Nussmeier last year against Ole Miss in Baton Rouge with 27 seconds to go to force overtime. And the Tigers won it. Nussmeier to Lacey. Deep throw, man open, underthrown ball, and not caught, but a flag down. Chris Hilton Jr. was open. If it wasn't underthrown, it's probably a touchdown, but they did get pass interference. Well, that's a big development because in college football it's only 15 yards from the line of scrimmage.
And that's just a poorly thrown ball by Nussmeier. I mean, that's a throw a year ago he's making with his eyes closed. It's not difficult. It's one-on-one. Your receiver's 5 or 6 steps behind the defender. You got to get it to the back of the end zone and let him catch a touchdown. It just consistency with this accuracy has not been there this year. Whether it's the ab injury or this time, he's got to be tighter on the downfield accuracy.
Chris Graves Jr. called for the penalty, the walk-off inside the 25-yard line. And freshman Berry gets stopped at the line of scrimmage by Will Eccles.
Now on 2nd and 10, this is kind of where Joe Sloan likes to take a shot. They run it on first down. This is where they try to kind of push it downfield. So keep an eye on their red zone weapon. That's number 14, Trades Green. He'd be the guy that they probably want to look at. He's lined up here on the end of the line of scrimmage.
6th play of this possession, the most they've had on any drive today. They shift into the pistol, the play clock at 2. Berry. Lane Kiffin in the crowd screaming for a holding call. Lane's halfway out to the numbers. Sage Ryan made the tackle. Last 4 years for him at LSU.
Well, 3rd down. The last 2 times they've been going to a 3-man rush. Let's take a look. This is the penalty that Lane Kiffin was wanting on, looks like number 10, Bauer Sharp, kind of holding that jersey. Seen that 3-man rush multiple times from Ole Miss. Will they do that 3-man rush again? See if they can compress the pocket and make Nussmeier uncomfortable.
The Ole Miss coaches said they've been calling defenses this season to protect the secondary. Then they do rush 3 again. Nussmeier checks it down. Xavion Thomas has a long way to go to get to the marker, and he doesn't get close. 2-yard gain. They got yanked down by Taj Chambers.
That was a great tackle by Chambers in pursuit. Thomas so explosive and hard to bring down in space. And the fact that Chambers can chase him down is a big play.
So here comes Damian Ramos. Excellent kicker. 51 career field goals, is 4th in school history, 10 shy of the record. This is a 39-yarder. He's made his last 5. Wind not an issue. And he is money. Right down the middle, it's a 1-score game with 6:02 to go in the 3rd quarter. Ole Miss 17, Brian Kelly's LSU Tigers 10. You're watching SEC All Day, presented by IHG Hotels and Resorts. We're back in Oxford, Mississippi. The quarterback comparison, Nussmeier, just 129 yards passing. And those numbers could be better. The underthrown ball to Hilton cost them a likely touchdown. They settled for a field goal. They haven't been good at drawing pass interferences against their opponents. That was the 10th, which leads the country. Not really what you want to hang your hat on offense.
Time now for our all-state good hands play, and it's Trinidad Chambliss. He's been great manipulating defenders. Look at him work his eyes, move Weeks out of the box, comes right back, hits right on the middle for a 3rd down conversion. But also his legs are so dangerous. You overrush the quarterback with the guy that's dynamic, he can make you pay. That's exactly what happens that time. Weeks rushes too far up the field, and Chambliss takes off for another big play. And he's really seeing the field well these last couple quarters. And on downfield throws in particular, he picks up where he left off last week. Been very accurate.
Deuce Alexander shot down. Good tackle in space by A.J. Halsey. He's impressive again today. They get lined up quickly. They lined up Alexander in the backfield that time. Here's the first catch of the day for Caleb Odom, one of their tight ends. Halsey there again to shove him out of bounds, but it's 12 yards and a 1st down on the completion of the sophomore from Carrollton, Georgia. Design quarterback draw. The intermittent tempo is interesting. It was interesting speaking to Blake Baker yesterday. He said sometimes they go fast, and when they slow down, oftentimes it's because they are trying to steal, they being Ole Miss, the defensive signals. So Blake Baker said they changed their signals this week. Most of them are just one word, because in this day and age in college football, you have to line up fast. Lacey in trouble and wrestled down behind the line of scrimmage. Jamari Butler made the play. Now there are those talented transfers from Nebraska after 5 years as a Cornhusker. He's in his 1st year here.
And this is a big down right now for LSU's defense, and it needs to be Harold Perkins for Blake Baker. He's the guy on 3rd down that needs to make a play, and so far he's been pretty quiet throughout the afternoon.
They haven't called his name much. Kind of a tentative 4-man rush. And Winston Watkins the catch for a 1st down. He beat Mansour Delane in coverage.
And a great job here, man. Zone coverage, you see a lot of space there to allow Watkins to kind of sit down on the curl, and the defender's late to close.
Looked like Perkins was a spy on that play. Really not rushing, seemingly concerned with the Chambliss run game. Keywan Lacey, the ball carrier.
This is where you got to be careful playing against Ole Miss. They kind of rock you to sleep a little bit with some underneath stuff, and then here comes some type of deception, some type of big play action, throw it over the top. This is kind of where you got to be very careful as a defense playing against Charlie Weiss Jr. and Lane Kiffin.
3.5 to go, 3rd quarter. Ole Miss the ball, a 7-point lead. Chambliss rolls out to the sideline, up for grabs and picked off by P.J. Woodland. No flags on this one, and Woodland brings it back into Rebel territory. Intended for Deuce Alexander.
Woodland picks it off, his first of the season, and a 32-yard return.
And what a big moment for LSU's defense, just needing a stop in the biggest way possible. And Woodland tight-roping the sideline. Looked like he did get both feet down in bounds and then started the return. That's great awareness there by the corner after the deflection to make sure he got those toes in bound before he initiated the return.
Sophomore from Hattiesburg, Mississippi, back in his home state. They had a pick six called back for pass interference on a good call in the first half. Now they set up the offense in plus territory. Jawan Johnson back in. They got stacked up after a gain of 1. This is the best starting field position of the day for LSU.
It is imperative here. LSU has done a great job all season long in takeaways, creating problems in the back end defensively for the opposing offense. But their offense, you got to pay this off. I mean, you have to pay this off. The morale is at stake if you don't pay this off after the sudden change.
Of course, 5 of those interceptions for Brian Kelly's defense came in the one game against Florida and Baton Rouge. They picked off DJ Lagway 5 times. Nussmeier, good throw there. And Barryon Brown with the catch at the 31-yard line. 15 yards. And another first down for the Tigers.
And this was a great throw. That's the Garrett Nussmeier we know. Tight spiral, drove right between 2 defenders. That was an accurate throw on time. That was probably the best throw he's made today.
There's a touchdown pass today. He's had at least 1 in 18 of his 19 career starts. Throwing that one up for grabs. A diving attempt made by Xavier Thomas. Ricky Fletcher had the coverage, Molly.
Well, LSU head coach Brian Kelly just singled out his offensive line on the sideline. He got after them saying, we have to protect better up front. We have to. You have no choice but to fight back. He told them injuries not an excuse, as another starter, this time left guard Paul Mabenga, questionable to return with a left ankle injury. Remember, their starting right tackle Weston Davis also out right now with injury.
And Molly, I don't blame him for challenging them. Ole Miss is applying pressure with the 3-man rush. That just can't happen.
Out wide, and Kyle Parker ran into the back of his own man. Bauer Sharp, the tight end, trying to block. No gain. Here's another 3rd down and long. 3rd and 10.
And Pete Golding has not been aggressive today. He has not really seen much pressure. It's really been that 3-man rush, drop 8. But here, right on the fringe of field goal range, I can't imagine he dials up the pressure. But if you're ever going to, this would probably be the spot on the field. Try and knock him out of field goal range with the sack. It's looking like 3-man rush again. And why wouldn't you with how it's been effective so far?
1 out of 7 on 3rd down. And again, pressure with 3 men. Nussmeier running out of time, and it's incomplete, intended for Parker. Deshaun Womack, another former LSU Tiger, spent 2 years playing for LSU, was putting the pressure on Nussmeier.
There's nothing more demoralizing as a quarterback to know that there's 8 men dropping out, and I still don't feel comfortable with the 3-man rush. The offensive line has to tighten up, especially on the edges.
So here's Ramos again. This is a win for the Ole Miss defense. And after the interception for LSU, gave the offense the ball in plus territory. 48-yard attempt for Ramos.
Come out. LSU. First and a half. 30-second timeout.
And Brian Kelly hot with the field goal team. Time for the Aflac trivia question. LSU football has produced 3 #1 overall picks in the NFL draft. Duck was a little late on the arrival there. We want to know who was the first one.
Oh my. I have no shot here. None.
Well, I know one of them was quite recent.
Yes. Know that one. I also know the one from the 2000s, but I'm imagining there's probably one from way back in the day.
Well, he's topical today, too. So here's Ramos. Again, virtually no breeze. And that one, little Greg McElroy fade, but still good.
Mine's a controlled slice.
Well, one of them I knew from watching the Lane Kiffin documentary, The Many Lives of Lane Kiffin on E60, because they talked about he wasn't really thrilled when Jamarcus Russell was drafted by the late great Al Davis in 2007 was the #1 pick. Joe Burrow, of course, 2020 in the after the national championship season. Billy Cannon the first. And we say that's topical today because the last time these two teams met when they were both undefeated, Halloween night, 1959. Billy Cannon, one of the most memorable plays in LSU football history, 89-yard punt return for the only touchdown in the game. And LSU then ranked #1, beat #3 Ole Miss 7-3. And that play helped Cannon win the Heisman Trophy that year. That was the last time they met when both were undefeated and untied. We should point out that this is only the 6th time in 114 meetings they played in September. Usually they play later in the year, which reduces the likelihood that you're undefeated. That was today's Aflac trivia question. Aaron Burrell, the touchback. Final minute of the 3rd quarter and some game pressure on Trinidad Chambliss. You know, we saw the 2 games that Austin Simmons started. The first 2 here, we did the game at Kentucky where he got hurt. If I'm them and they're both healthy going forward, I'm at least going forward for a while with Trinidad Chambliss until he demonstrates he shouldn't be the man anymore.
I would agree. And the one reason why he's been such an advantage for them is the quarterback run game and making great decisions. And let's see what Charlie Weiss Jr. does now to kind of get Trinidad Chambliss back into a good state of mind after the interception a moment ago.
His first turnover as an Ole Miss Rebel. And he's trying to get it to Caden Lee. He got his feet tangled up with Tamarcus Cooley, and there's no flag.
Like the throw was high too as Lee was trying to work across, and that right hand, yeah, did kind of get down and around the hip area. We might have gotten away with one there.
The crowd certainly thinks so. Chambliss running away from West Weeks and throws, and a nice catch on a ball thrown behind him by Daquan Wright. Then he's across midfield. They think he's going to be a high NFL draft pick to the Ole Miss coaches. And a tremendous catch on a 26-yard gainer.
What a catch by Daquan Wright. Unbelievable.
6'4", 255, a big target. 243 yards passing now for Chambliss. Play fake, flag thrown by the center judge again. Caden Lee another catch, Harold Perkins the tackle, but what's the flag? LSU folks signaling that it's against Ole Miss. And that play gets us to the end of the 3rd quarter. They're going to put time back on the clock.
8 seconds. Thank you.
Ole Miss penalties. Now for 94 yards. That wiped out a good play. Brings the ball back to their own 41. Allowing the LSU defense to mingle around the coaches for a moment, and finally Ken Williamson winds the clock. They don't have to snap it again, and they do not. Can we have those 8 seconds of our lives back?
Time is a valuable resource, and that was not well spent.
Terrific catch by Daquan Wright. ESPN's presentation of college football on ABC will return after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
Buy a new Ram for $37,980 at Spartanburg Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram.
Back here at Ole Miss, Coach Kelly, your offense had to settle for a field goal after that interception by your defense. What do you attribute those struggles to on offense?
Well, we're not executing at the highest level, and they're playing good defense. Yeah, we got 3 points on the board. You want 7. But, you know, we got ourselves back in this game. It's a one-score game. It's a fourth quarter on the road. Best team's going to win in the fourth quarter.
What's the key for your defense here?
Well, I mean, we got him out of the pocket a couple of times. We just got to cover down on the scrambles. So keep playing. Keep playing. This is a long game. It's 4 quarters. Big quarter coming up.
Thank you.
His defense just got some help on a drop by Kewan Lacey on 1st and 20. He keeps talking about you play to win the game, you coach to win the game, and that's what he's done. Not going for a lot of 4th downs this season, playing to the strength of his defense. But as he said, at LSU, the standard is championships. He knows that's why he was hired, to win a national championship. And this offense is not going to be good enough to win an SEC championship, never mind a national title. Chambliss, plenty of time. Strong throw. Dejan Stribling, the catch. Mansour Delane, the tackle, 12 yards on that completion.
Big 3rd down here for Ole Miss's offense, and the guy that's been most successful has been Daquan Wright. He's their tight end. He's lined up right here. Let's see if they look in his direction.
3rd down and 8. They're not in field goal range. Kewan Lacey, the running back. He got the handoff, trying to turn the corner. He ran away from Perkins. And to Marcus Cooley. There's a flag down. It's a 1st down. If the play stands, they overcame a 2nd down and 20. Caleb Odom, one of their tight ends, is still down on the field.
Holding offense number 1.
Dejan Stribling, the transfer from Oklahoma State. And it's Odom down on the field.
This is a big penalty on Stribling. Now, he has to hold this block forever. I mean, it takes so long for Lacey to get to the outside, but he's just grabbing that jersey and tugging P.J. Woodland inside to allow Lacey to capture the edge. It's the correct call.
Yeah, they were holding hands more than some of the lovebirds we saw in the square last night among the Ole Miss student population. Timeout on the field. Well, great SEC action continues here on ABC. When we're finished here in Oxford, we go to Athens. Gunnar Stockton and number 5 Georgia hosting 17th ranked Alabama. Georgia just 1-6 under Kirby Smart against the Tide. First time that they've hosted them between the hedges. That one win wasn't a national championship game. On 3rd and long, Chambliss, a beautiful throw and a diving catch by Wallace for the 1st down. On 3rd down and 14, they got 18.
That is a big time throw by Chambliss. And how about the catch by Wallace? Amazing execution.
He's had a terrific first year here at Ole Miss as Wallace felt he was underutilized at Penn State. Chambliss, sharp, Odom, another 1st down, and they're in field goal range. But they want the 7.
This throw is off the charts. Anticipates it, threads the needle between a few defenders. Just can't throw it much better than that on 3rd and long.
They have a wide open Lacey in the flat. He's down just shy of the 15-yard line. 8 more. They're on the move against Coach Baker's defense.
And that's just Trinidad Chambliss showing his maturity there. I mean, started to the right. They called a deep shot off a pump action. Didn't like it. It was well covered by LSU. You get all the way back to your check down outlet. He does so beautifully to turn what was a lost play into a gain.
Huge difference here between a field goal and a touchdown. They love Daquan Wright down here. He goes in motion. Leading the way for Kewan Lacey. Kewan Lacey getting pushed and driving himself just shy of the goal line. First and goal. Just inside the 3. Lacey trying to bounce away from Perkins, and he gets swung down by Tamarcus Cooley.
There's Harold Perkins again, just making the huge play and forcing Lacey to the outside. You got to stay in between the tackles. Lacey does have a tendency to bounce it a little bit. So here, after you lose some yardage, you got to be careful with heavy play action, and they try to sneak those tight ends behind the defense. So keep an eye on the tight ends to the right-hand side of the formation.
The 11th play of the drive.
Looked like that was what's called, but there's 2 safeties back deep defending the pass. Probably going to adjust to a run here.
Logan Diggs, the running back, straight ahead, touchdown! The former LSU Tiger with a huge score against his former mates. Big time drive, 75 yards and 11 plays. And Diggs his 3rd rushing touchdown for Lane Kiffin. Ternero's point has made it an 11-point advantage.
And the Rebels are feeling it. Upset-minded against these LSU Tigers right to the top 5. The push, the relentless effort by the entire offense leads to Diggs just a moment ago, punching it in to make it an 11-point game.
ABC College Football is presented by Burger King. You rule.
Great atmosphere here in Oxford, Mississippi. The 4th largest crowd in the history of Von Hemingway Stadium. 67,737. More than the seating capacity. And the LSU fans who made the trip along their team's 7-game winning streak back to last season in jeopardy. Offensively challenged team down by 11 with just more than 11 minutes to go. Darion Brown will try it from the goal line. He did well to reach the 20.
And the recipe for Pete Golding, the defensive coordinator, has been simple. Rush 3, drop 8, and see if we can't push the pocket. It's been very effective. This offensive line for LSU has really struggled in giving Nussmeier time, and when they have, he hasn't always been accurate and hasn't always made great decisions, but you see the coverage in the back end. When there's only a 3-man rush, there's very few answers that you have as a quarterback. You got to find pockets in those zones, and that 3-man rush has been absolutely critical to leading to Nussmeier playing subpar football, just 6 of 14 against an 8-man drop in coverage.
Harlan Berry, the running back, out of the pistol. He's dropped for a loss by Cam Franklin. And against that defense, Greg, the lack of a running threat from Nussmeier really hurts, because you could run the ball with design quarterback runs if they're going to drop 8 all day.
all day. And it really just the fact that the offensive line's not winning. They're not getting much push against that three-man rush. Just 29 rushing yards today that's really, really underwhelming against this defensive structure.
2nd and 12. Brown the motion man. They're without Aaron Anderson, their top receiver. Kyle Parker the catch. Ricky Fletcher knocked him out of bounds. They still need 2 more on 3rd down. Brian Kelly said they hope for about 130 to 160 rushing yards per game. They know it's not going to be as much as a lot of other teams that run the quarterback a lot because they're not going to get rushing yards. But they have 29 rush yards today. Johnson gets the 1st down. Under 10 minutes to go.
That was really one of the first times today where it looked like the yellow helmets really moved the powder blue helmets 3 or 4 yards downfield. And there has not been much surge. You got to give tremendous credit to the defensive line of the Rebels up to this point. They haven't been aided by blitzes. They've just won up front, and they're why they have the lead right now.
Playing without Caden Durham, their leading rusher, and he's had a tough time getting going this season as well. Nussmeier on target to Nick Anderson. To the Rebel 45-yard line. Kapenna Gushigan made the tackle, a transfer from Washington State. 21 yards on the play.
I think that's where Nussmeier is going to have to continue to try to attack the middle of the field. If Ole Miss is going to play with split safeties, 2 safeties on the hashes, you can attack that middle zone right between the hash. You got to continue to try to pound that area of the field.
2nd catch for Anderson. His only other one was their touchdown to start the game. That's deep, and it is incomplete. Trying to get it to Chris Hilton with Ricky Fletcher in coverage.
That was a better thrown deep ball from Nussmeier. Underthrew one big time earlier, but that one's right on the money. Might have had to battle some sun, too, as that ball hung in the air for a very long time, and the progressive pylon cam shows Hilton trying to track it all the way. Pretty good coverage on the outside as well.
Caleb Jackson in at running back. More of a battering ram type. He's wide open in the flat. He dropped the ball.
This one, they get a lot of room. And Juwan Johnson's their pass-catching running back. Ball's a little low. The one that he should have absolutely reeled in. If he does, he might have a lot of room.
In fairness to Nussmeier, they've had a problem with drop balls through these first 4+ games. I think if you're the receiver, probably would have liked that one a little higher. They've dropped 2 officially today. They sneak in a run on 3rd down and 10. A good call by Joe Sloan. It's Juwan Johnson who got them within 2 yards of the line to gain. Sage Ryan made the tackle in a huge play here. 4th down and almost 3. They moved the ball back a little bit.
They've had success running it on 3rd down and 3 or less. Here now 4th down. They've had some success too. They might go with Kyle Parker, who's lined up down here in the slot. He might motion across, and let's see if they motion him across and get him out in the flat. That's a play they've used in the past. Might do it here.
Great call, Greg. There it is. Did he get the yardage? Yes, it seems he did. Perhaps with the 2nd effort. He got blasted by Ricky Fletcher, who's slow to get up. He stayed on his feet, and with the lunge, it looked like he got the 1st down. You wondered if he would have had it originally with forward progress. Here's the view from the pylon cam.
He's up right there. It does look like the ball does get to the 30-yard line. Great effort there by Parker, staying up just long enough to outstretch his arms to hopefully for the Tigers pick up this conversion.
So undoubtedly the replay booth will take a look at this. His knee is on top of the defender, so he's not down. And it looked like all he had to do was reach the 35-yard line for the 1st down. Fletcher just now being helped up to his feet. 7:51 to go. LSU on the move, down by 11. You see the red marker at the bottom of your picture. He will get just to the front of that 35-yard line, and he did. Confirmed to be a first down for LSU. Ninth play of their drive, down by 11. Another three-man rush. Nussmeier throws, caught far sideline. Bauer Sharp, the tight end. Close to the first down. They're going to give him 9, shoved out by Antonio Kite.
The protection last few plays much better from this LSU offensive line. That three-man rush is no longer getting home. It's giving Nussmeier plenty of time to survey the field.
Deshaun Womack ran off for the Rebels defense. Nussmeier up for grabs again, and incomplete. Trying to get it to Barryon Brown. Chris Graves Jr. had the coverage. Part of that new secondary. Not only did they lose Trey Amos to the second round, but they lost a lot of veteran defenders from a year ago who were very good college players.
Yeah, a little hand fighting there, and probably could have called one there on Graves. It looked like he had that left hand up kind of around the shoulder pad of Brown. Anticipate run play here, though, on 3rd and short.
Jawan Johnson, the running back, on 3rd and 1. They hand it to him, stutter stepping, and it didn't look like he got it. Will Eccles leading the way, an emerging star. They elected to throw to the end zone on 2nd and 1, putting pressure on the 3rd down. For a team that is challenged to run the ball, they're going for it on 4th down at about 6 inches.
Man, I've had success this year with quarterback sneak, so that's always an option with a little tush-push action with Nussmeier under center.
His dad was the quarterback coach for the Eagles last year when they won the Super Bowl. He's well versed in the push. Timeout. Now they have just one. Play clock was about to run out. And Brian Kelly letting Nussmeier have it. Didn't want to use the timeout. Now only one. The play clock was about to run out.
Looked like 2. There was going to be a defensive player right over the center, too, so that makes quarterback sneak very, very difficult. Lane Kiffin knew just how big that moment was. Those timeouts are like gold, especially when playing from behind. He knows just how big that moment was. Sloan on the other side. Just, what are you doing?
Come back to the huddle with 3 tight ends on the field. They've rushed for 42 yards on 20 running plays. Can they get 6 inches? Oh, boy. The right guard, Josh Thompson, jumped. Now do you kick the field goal and make it a 1-score game?
Probably so. I mean, that's probably the direction I'd head. Especially given how things have gone and get off the field down so far for LSU offensively. Just 2 of 11 on 3rd down. Of course, did have the 4th down conversion a moment ago. But if they're going for it, it's the slot receivers. That's where they've been going. So whether it's Parker on the bottom or Xavion Thomas at the top, more than likely that's the direction they're going to be looking.
Biggest play of the game.
Man coverage with the linebacker running out there with the running back.
They went empty. It's a 3-man rush. A quick pass and a first down to Kyle Parker. Trying to fill the void in the absence of Aaron Anderson. Now with an elbow injury and a leg injury. 11 yards on 4th down and just more than 5. And they go with tempo. Under 6 minutes to go. Another shot into single coverage and another overthrown ball. in the direction of Xavion Thomas. Chris Graves had the coverage.
In comes Trades Green, now 14. The tight end at 6'7". He's the red zone weapon. So anytime they get down here in the 20s, you got to assume he's going to be the starting point for any progression Nussmeier's going to go through.
Motion Johnson out, and with 3 men, they get to Nussmeier. Second sack of the game for Ole Miss. This one from Deshaun Womack, the former LSU Tiger.
And you referenced it, Sean, just a 3-man rush. It can't happen. He goes right around the right tackle, Kern. Doesn't hardly touch him, and Nussmeier's got nothing that he can do. Just has to eat it and live to play the next down. Fortunately, he hung onto the football, almost fumbled it.
Womack's a junior from Baltimore.
What a break. It looks like they called Womack for offside. Got just a little early start, so wipes out the sack, and now it's 2nd and 5.
Huge break. They're trying to add time to the clock. It's so loud here. I'm not sure the scoreboard operator, the clock operator, heard it. Now he or she has. Fourteenth play of the drive. They've had it for nearly 5.5 minutes. Harlem Berry inside the 6-yard line.
Well, it's the exact same spot on the field earlier where they threw the touchdown pass. Remember, they were looking in the direction of Trades Green. It got deflected, but he's the go-to guy. He's right here, lined up at number 3 at 6'7". That's the direction you got to expect they're looking.
Berry again, touchdown! Harlem Berry, his first collegiate touchdown, and what a drive by the LSU Tigers. 80 yards in 15 plays, 6 minutes and 4 seconds, and they'll go for 2 now to try to make it a 1 field goal game. Go for Dos, brought to us by Dos Equis.
Looks like Nussmeier's trying to talk to the official and
wants the ball on the left hash mark.
Yeah.
And they will move the ball over there. Harlem Berry, 5-star recruits. You know, if he's still learning, just run the plays he knows.
He definitely has some juice. You can see it on display there, big way.
They're doing it without 2 of their starting offensive linemen. Jawan Johnson shifts to the backfield. My goodness. They hand him the ball back at the 8-yard line. That is a perplexing call. Sontarian Perkins made the tackle. You can't run the ball and you run a very slow design running play.
And you got to give some credit. The guy that just got beat a moment ago on the sack on the AT&T Connected Cam, he gets a big old move, gets a piece of 2 defenders, and Berry goes right behind him. It's a good play, good bounce back from the right side of that offensive line. Just a huge stop, and I'm kind of puzzled by the decision on the 2-point conversion with how things have gone through the air. You got to trust your quarterback there, 5th-year guy. I know you just ran into the end zone, but the likelihood of doing it twice in a row with that defensive line, how they've played, seems incredibly unlikely.
He's going for the element of surprise. They weren't surprised on that Ole Miss defense. So 5:04 to go. LSU down by 5 with just 1 timeout and the 2-minute stoppage. Another bomb by Aaron Burrell. Here's Kevin Nagandi.
Showing Mississippi State with the chance to go 5-0, hosting number 15 Tennessee, and Boog, Joey Aguilar picked off.
No doubt, Kev. Tips and overthrows as a defense, we got to get those. That's why you play zone coverage, you can catch them.
And then that drive, it leads to a Fluff Bothwell touchdown.
Nice job by Mississippi State capitalizing on that. Then we got a great ball game down in Starkville.
And we got a great one tonight in Athens. Ryan Williams coming off a career
Last
game
time we
year.
saw him, 5 for 165. He's the key tonight for that offense.
We'll get you ready. Georgia, Alabama, primetime on ABC. Back to you, Sean.
Great day of college football. 4 ranked SEC teams in these back-to-back games. Trinidad Chambliss, 1 yard, and that's all. Whit Weeks there for the LSU defense.
Numbers alarming. Just amazing what they've been able to do against this elite defense, but especially on 3rd down. And that's been so critical. The way Chambliss has been able to deliver the ball in tight coverage and just keep the chains moving.
The big edge in the yardage. The 14 penalties for 109 yards have really hurt Ole Miss. Their -1 is Ole Miss in the turnover margin. Usually they go fast, but they'll go slowly here with the lead. Chambliss, lots of running room, and he slides down. They'll spot it at the 37-yard line with a first down, an 11-yard run.
And so much, you cannot overrun the quarterback. It just allows way too much room for Chambliss. The entire right side of the LSU defense gets pushed upfield, which allows plenty of space for Chambliss to take off. And he will kill you with his legs if you're too aggressive with your pass rush.
Crowd silent for one of the few times today with their team on offense. T1 Lacey runs. And that timeout they had to use a moment ago, much to the aggravation of Brian Kelly, is looming large.
Every single timeout worth 40 seconds. Just cannot spend them unnecessarily on offense like they did a couple times earlier in this half.
And if and when they get it back, they'd have to go the length of the field without Aaron Anderson, who you saw on the sideline, their top receiver. 294 through the air and 67 on the ground for Chambliss. Lacey almost off to the races. Another touchdown saving tackle by A.J. Halsey, the senior from Houston, Texas. 17 yards for Lacey.
And the run game's all about numbers. You got 3 guys, means you got 3 perfect blockers to the left-hand side. There's absolutely nothing you can do. There's short numbers. Ole Miss recognizes it, and they take it out the gate for another big play.
Thank you. Whit Weeks, the leader of their defense, preseason first team AP All-American, is the injured player, and his family understandably concerned.
See, as he's going in, gets landed on there on the back. Just hate seeing that as he immediately grabs something in his lower leg. Such a great player.
Weeks trying to walk it off on the sideline. They'll have to play at least one play without their best defender. 20-year-old from Watkinsville, Georgia, near Athens, where his dad played, from the University of Georgia. Well, they've gone 33 yards in 4 plays, moving the ball and effectively running out the clock. Ole Miss will have to run another play before the 2-minute timeout. Interesting to see if Brian Kelly uses that timeout shy of the 2-minute warning after this play. 2-minute stoppage. Kewan Lacey delivered a blow to Harold Perkins at the end of the run. Coach Kelly's not going to stop it, and that takes us to the 2-minute stoppage. 7-game winning streak for LSU in serious jeopardy. Ole Miss trying to run. You're watching the SEC on ABC. The sun setting on a beautiful late September afternoon and now evening here in Oxford, Mississippi. Ole Miss trying to go to 5-0 and hand LSU its first defeat of the season. Brian Kelly's team down by 5 at the 2-minute stoppage, and Ole Miss has its second down and 7 at the Tiger 39. Just one timeout left for LSU. You would think they would keep it on the ground. It's Chambliss. Brian Kelly will use his last timeout as Chambliss made it to the 36-yard line. Well, do you have, if you're Lane Kiffin, 2 downs to get 4 yards? Or would you think about, if you don't get it, a long field goal with a great kicker to push the lead back to 8?
I would feel much more comfortable at 8. I think you run the quarterback here with Trinidad Chambliss. You're already in field goal range at this point, assuming no significant lost yardage on this play. I think we succeed probably the exact same play we just saw a moment ago. Little read quarterback power with Chambliss working right to the middle of the defense.
Statistically, a dominant day in many ways for Ole Miss, although those penalties have been an equalizer. One more first down will put it away for Lane Kiffin and the Rebels. They're 8 out of 15 on third down. It's another big edge they've had. LSU's just 2 for 11. You would think it would be Chambliss or Lacey again. Or Deuce Alexander in motion. He's a decoy. Chambliss stumbling as he tried to turn the corner. Did he go out of bounds? Yes, he did. Oh my goodness. Stops the clock with 1:47 to go.
And that's a big mistake. And Lane Kiffin obviously showed some frustration there on the sideline the second he did it. I know he's trying to get that first down, desperately trying. Lane's almost yelling at him like, get down.
It looked like Lane was pointing at the ground as if to say, stay in bounds. He's an experienced quarterback. He should know better than that. Started all year last year for Ferris State. Well, no field goal. The offense is still on the field. Set up to be a direct snap to Kewan Lacey.
He's trying to get him to jump off sides if he can.
And now Lane Kiffin is going to use the timeout.
Timeout. Ole Miss. First ahead. 30-second timeout.
Lane just can't believe that Chambliss, who's been so good in all 3 games as the starter, ran out of bounds with LSU out of timeouts under the 2-minute stoppage. What would you do now?
Now, I've always kind of been the belief, like, you let your offense win it, but 4th and 3 to me feels like a heavy lift. I think I'd probably kick the field goal here and just hope that my defense, who's played so well throughout a vast majority of this game, can anchor down and not give up a long touchdown drive.
Well, Carnero is an outstanding kicker. 1 for 1 today. Over the last 2 years, last season at Western Kentucky and here now at Ole Miss, he's made 29 of his last 31. And he has a big leg. 54 yards his career long. He did that last week against Tulane. In his career from 50 plus, he's 7 out of 8. And as we said earlier, the only miss at Kentucky off the upright with plenty of distance.
Keep an eye, if they do run a play, I think it'll be this guy right here, Daquan Wright, working in the flat off play action.
On 4th and 3, it's Wright, and he's wide open. He should just go down in bounds, and he does. Great call, Greg, and great call by Lane Kiffin and Charlie Weiss Jr. 20 yards to put the game away. Chambliss takes a knee. Another 300-yard passing game for Trinidad off the 307 last week against Tulane. 314 today. And he's also rushed for 71 yards.
Just a tremendous performance. And I'll tell you, this LSU defense is the real deal. And it was highly impressive to see a young man who has now stepped up in competition from D2 Ferris State to go to the highest levels of football and deliver this type of performance. Tremendous stuff.
We'll have to snap it one more time. And what about LSU? Garrett Nussmeier, the leading contender for the Heisman Trophy for many, starting the year. He hasn't been very good, but it's a new offensive line that lost 4 starters. They can't run the ball.
At some point, LSU's got to find some balance offensively, and they got to get Garrett Nussmeier playing up to his potential. If they do, they're still remarkably dangerous, but a lot to clean up on the offensive side.
Lane Kiffin and Brian Kelly know each other well. They faced each other 4 times in this rivalry. They went head-to-head 3 times when Kiffin was at USC and Kelly was at Notre Dame. Here's Molly McGrath with Lane Kiffin.
Coach Kiffin, a huge conversion on 4th and 3 to put the game away. What did your quarterback, Trinidad Chambliss, and this entire offense do well here tonight?
Trinidad made up for running out of bounds. So, we believe in our players. We go for it on 4th down a lot, and glad they made plays. I'm looking for Witt right now to see if he covered over.
I love it. Coach, a lot was made of LSU's defense headed into this game. What kind of statement did your defense make in this one?
Well, LSU has a great team. They have great players. That's one of the best rosters in America. And it was a tough game, like these games always are. Luckily, we've been able to win the last 3 at home, and they kept this rivalry alive, so we'll see them next year.
Yeah, you mentioned the rivalry. Last year, this game came down to the last play where you guys lost it. So how satisfying is this one now to take down the number 4 team in the country?
Yeah, that one hurt a lot. We gave that away. We were ahead the whole time down there in Baton Rouge, so it feels good to get back on the winning side. We screwed that one up last year, but we finished this one this year.
All right, congrats on the win. I'll let you go find Witt now.
All right.
Sean.
Join us late, Whit Weeks, the linebacker for LSU, dating Lane Kiffin's daughter, Landry. They'll party all night here in one of the great party college towns in America, where Lane Kiffin continues to build a powerhouse. They beat LSU 24-19. For Greg and Molly, Sean McDonough, so long from Oxford. Back to the studio we go.